Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to It's Clobbering Time. I'm here with the artist formerly known as Marcus Kellergrove, now known as
I might
Prince.
change that.
Yeah.
I saw
just
Prince
got,
in concert.
Oh, I never saw Prince. I didn't like Prince for the longest time. I got to admit, I'm one of these people. Like,
I took my
once he
sister.
died, I was like, once he died, I was like, all right, he's all right. But I don't know. He always.
Yeah.
I thought Purple Rain was so bad. The movie was so bad that I hated him. And I thought his music to the '89 Batman movie was just so basic. Bat dance. It was just so obvious. But yeah, I know he had some good music. But
I took
now
my sister. I didn't go. I wasn't going to go to Prince. I didn't think much of him way back then. In the '80s,
yeah, I didn't care too much for that kind of music.
But now I can brag about it. Oh, I saw Prince, and everybody thinks he's like this superstar. So, like, hey, I saw Prince. Yeah, I'm in. I saw lots of other bands that I valued much more. Not the same bands you saw, but bands.
Somebody just sent me an email, of course, just as we start. Okay. So I got my stack of comics fell over like 5 minutes ago. So I was like, oh no, I had to reset it up. I didn't think I was going to make it on time.
Oh,
but, I put the Horseman.
You get this? Maybe this. Go ahead. Sorry.
I put the 7 Deadly Sinners and Mighty Golden Patriot, and it just caused my tower to collapse. So I was going to get them to show everybody, but I don't know where they are now. I hastily reassembled my stack of comics.
Mr. BL fault.
Yep, look at that. That's my two.
You ever feel this way? I feel this way. Every time you put something down, it like falls over, just little things, and you're like, "What the heck?"
Yep. So I got 7 Deadly Sinners and Mighty Golden
Phenomenova.
Oh, you got Phenomenova today? So
what did I get?
So I asked
2 days ago. Oh. I didn't read it.
You're all studying and everything.
With this, maybe I should go and come back. I feel like
go and come back. Otherwise, we're going to be talking over each other all night.
Yeah, let me try this. Why is this still spinning? My StreamYard does this sometimes to me. All right, I'll be back in a second.
All right,
I'll change it.
So for those of you who want to join us, here is the link. Remember, as always, It's Clobbering Time is an open invite show. Tonight's topic is going to be who's the greatest inventor. Oh God, I hate when I'm big like this. Who's the greatest inventor in comics? I got a couple of things to say about a couple of people. Some people that you think are inventors, I don't consider them to be inventors, and whatever. But we'll talk about that in due time. The digital comics are on the way for Heroic Tales Christmas special. I just feel good that it's going out in July. So Christmas in July is actually happening. See, I got my Christmas tree. Where is it? Right there. So the Christmas Heroic Tales Christmas special. If you get it, please let people know it's real. I could use assistance sales. I mean, if you liked it, shout it out. Make videos, whatever. I got the final files that I was missing, and Bill is going to do the pre-press for the physical copies. So Phil Diaz is going to print that, but I want to get a proof first. I love the Diaz brothers, but it would be just derelict of duty if I didn't get a physical proof. Make sure everything looks good. And so that's that. Speaking of the Diaz brothers, I just got a package today. My banner is right there. I didn't get a chance to open it yet. So I'll open up my banner. I'll take pictures for those who are keeping track of what I'm doing. August 14th and 15th, I will be at Tropicon, my first convention. I'll be tabling with Vaughn Coleman of Phenomenova fame. That's what Marcus was just talking about. He got the newest issue. Hope I get mine tomorrow. So Vaughn has been nothing but helpful. I can't stress how helpful he's been, patient with me, because I've been dragging my feet about conventions. Not that I don't want to do them. It's just, man, do I need a haircut? man, do I need a haircut? Not that I don't want to do them. I want to do them. It's just that I've been working so much overtime. And it's hard to turn down overtime, 10 hours, a time and a half for a convention that you got to pay for. Hope you make your money back. You know what I mean? But I know long term, it's the smart thing to do to get out there. But short term, shit. And the overtime is pretty much over at my job. That's why I took my people like, why are you taking this whole month? Because the overtime is over. The overtime is over. So I worked through the busy period. Now it's the lean period. I'm going to gamble that for weeks that things will pick up. So that's everything. Oh, and I was about to say, Marcus is finished with the first public eye story. He's working on
doing the cover.
The cover looks, the layout you showed me looks pretty cool. And
I have. You want to see some more of it?
Yeah, sure. I'll make you big.
Here, I'm going to lean it down.
That is so old school. I love it.
So what I did different. I got the stuff in the background. It's twisted, but I can't.
That is so old school. I love it.
Oh wait, it's coming through. There it goes. So you see what I did? His other shoulder is where the city is. So it's inside his shoulder. See that?
Yeah.
And I know you were concerned at poinsettia, so I made her crying and like rubbing her neck.
Yeah, my big concern was I didn't want her
to look like doing anything, right?
Yeah, I didn't want her to
look like the first panel. It's like the first page almost.
Yeah, my concern was
it's like the first page, before the first page, like you see her already with the dress ripped.
Yeah.
So I want to fit the title. I made it too big, so I might have to fit the title, and I'm working on that. You know,
I love it. It's so old school. Yeah. Tim says Prince is one of those artists.
I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Marcus, you got to do something about your connection. We're talking over each other.
I did everything I could.
Prince is one of the two artists the press says is musical genius. Jim Morrison is the other. It's funny. I grew up loving the Doors, loving Jim Morrison, and I kind of got embarrassed by all classic rock when I was into my punk rock years, and then, like everybody else, you return to what you liked as a kid, and I started listening to the Doors again, and so I started going into a deep dive, and I just find Jim Morrison. I don't know. Conspiracy Me just thinks he's a psyop. I mean, what are the odds that his producer is a Rothschild? What are the odds that his father is an admiral who escalated the Vietnam War? You know what I mean? So conspiracy senses activate. Yeah, I love that cover. I don't know if you could hear me, but I was saying it's so wonderfully old school. Oh, you're not there, Marcus? Looks like you're frozen.
I can hear you.
Yeah, so I was also talking that the metaphysician story is underway. Andres is working on that. I had an idea, and I don't want to tell people what it is yet, but I wanted Oscar to draw a story, and Tonic Bowl is having difficulties getting his comics out. So Eddie is doomed. I gotta wait till Tonic Bowl finishes with his comics, and then so I wanted to give Oscar something to draw, and I gave him something. But then just yesterday, I had an idea that I know Oscar wants to do. So I gave him a choice, and he jumped at the new idea. And I'm dying to tell people it, but I'm going to work on that. So the script that I was writing for Oscar, I'm going to put on hold and put the others. Either one of them could come out, at any time. It's not tied into the grand story. So, but I want Oscar to be happy, and he likes this story. It's Kid Gimmick that I've been talking about. So I finally got a hook for Kid Gimmick. So Kid Gimmick is going to be in a team of sidekicks. So it's going to be my Teen Titans. There you go. So Oscar's going to draw that. So what's going on with you, Oscar? What's going on with you, Marcus? Just filibustering.
It's been a long week of work. I posted a Gambit I found that I did. Yeah. I did that like in '90s to promote a cartooning class. Damn, it was hot. And somebody said, "Well, you make fun of Jim Lee." Little did they know it's based on Lee Weeks' Gambit miniseries. If you remember, it's not really based on Jim Lee's Gambit.
Yeah.
And people seem to like it, I guess. It'll go on the Ko-fi. So that's an easy place people can buy artwork. I'm not really looking for tips, but to buy artwork if they want. I got Phenomenova. See, I did not read it yet.
Yeah.
I flipped through it. Too many side shots of the characters. Also, I didn't order this cover, but I don't really care, so I'm not a big deal. I know Bobby, so I don't care. Shh.
I forget what cover.
Bronze Star.
What's that?
Bronze Star 2.
Yeah, I got that the other day.
Yeah, those are the 2 books I got. I didn't
because I thought I ordered the hardcover because I ordered the hardcover for issue number 1. So now I have a hardcover and a soft cover, and that drives me nuts. Everything has to be.
Well, you should ask him. He'll send you. Michael sends you the hardcover.
I'm not asking him to. I'll ask to buy it off him, but I'm not asking for anybody for anything free.
Well, maybe he'll do a trade. Like they make those mistakes. When we did Sherlock Holmes, they sent me 3 of them, and so I was going to contact Chris Brawley, but you can't contact Chris because he runs a Bleeding Fool website, so he's got protected tweets. So I contacted Mike. I sent him back to Mike, and he sent me a comic signed. And then he remembers me, which because I sent him stuff back. Like, who sends stuff back? But yeah, I don't want to keep his. I only need 1. I don't need 3 of the same cover too.
I got two copies from Graham Nolan of what was his last campaign? Now I can't remember. Not Kit Carson, but the Space Explorers.
Well, he did. Yeah. No, Kit Carter was Aaron.
Yeah, that's Aaron.
Monster Island.
Yeah, Monster Island. I got 2 copies of Monster Island, or Return to Monster Island, the newest one. And he just told me to keep it and give it away to somebody.
Right.
So that's what I'm going to do. But I feel bad because I know
that's nice of him.
Yeah, I know what it's like to be a. Oh man, it's like, oh man, that's like $10 that I just gave away. But
well,
I'm sure
that's nice of him to say.
One is not going to kill him.
No, that was nice of him though. He didn't demand it back or anything. Yeah, I met Graham. Graham's a really nice guy.
Yeah, I met Graham too. I met him twice. Yeah. So I will do a commercial for my comic, and then we'll start talking about the topic at hand. So remember, we got the Heroic Tales Christmas special is live on Kickstarter. We got 40 more days to go. If you back it here, you'd really be helping me out because we got to hit 500. We're so close. And there's also more options here. There's more things you could get. There's more add-ons that you could get if you so choose here. So please help out. It's already done. The digital copies, I guarantee, unless I foresee some major misprint, they're going out this weekend. Now I'm on vacation. I don't have to go to bed early. I can actually do this stuff. Bill is at BellCon right now. He's doing a convention this weekend. Monday when he comes back, he's doing the pre-press for the physical copy, and then I can get a proof. And then if the proof is good, it's go ahead and print. So this, how many people can say that their comic is fully done and going to press before the campaign is even done? I'm the only crazy person that can do that. If you have a problem with Kickstarter, and I know some people have a problem with Kickstarter, that's up to you. That's up to you. I don't judge. You could also get it on Fund My Comic. I did pretty well on Fund My Comic. Of course, I could always use more help. Fund My Comic, we don't have all the add-ons. That's something Luke is working on to increase the add-ons, but you can just see the interior art. This is Andres, who's now working on my Metaphysician story. And this is Renzo, who's working on Patriarch #1. He's doing like 2 pages a week now. So that's going to happen soon. That's going to happen. Hey, we got Matt in the audience. Hey, Matt, come on in. Here is the link. We're talking about the best inventor, technologist, futurist, whatever you want to call it, whatever the cool guys call them in comics these days. Best inventor in comics. Now, I guess we'll start a little bit. Tony always shows up about halfway through. So, and Tony's going to bring up some obscure 40s guy who could invent everything out of like mud or something like that. This guy could he invented the nuclear power out of mud and his own spit, MacGyver style or something. So it looks like we lost Marcus again. So I don't know if Marcus could hear me, but tonight on It's Clobbering Time, we're talking about the greatest inventor in comics. So technologist, inventor, engineer, whatever you want to call it, techno wizard, and one of my pet peeves in comics, but it's not really. This is super nitpicky, is that there's no specialists in comics, Marcus, right? Like Reed Richards is the greatest scientist.
Your doctor does everything.
Right. Like Reed Richards is the greatest scientist, so he's also the greatest biologist. He's also the greatest, what is it, entomologist who studies insects, or entomologist, I forget which one. He's the best chemist. Tony Stark is supposed to be an engineer. He's supposed to be an engineer businessman. He's not supposed to be a theoretical physicist. But yet, just like if you're a doctor in comic books, like Donald Blake, if I remember correctly, he was like a general practitioner, right? And now he's a surgeon, and he's a brain surgeon and everything.
The vet is a heart surgeon in comic.
Right.
The local vet's a heart surgeon. Oh, he could do it. He's a vet.
Right. Yeah. And the same thing, like Matt Murdock. What is he a criminal lawyer? But he's also a civil judge.
He's a criminal lawyer.
He's also a family lawyer.
I'll have a thing. My dad was a lawyer, and if you can do a little, you could do a little bit of everything. And he did criminal cases, and he didn't do a lot of family cases. So lawyers can kind of do that, but they do generally have specialties.
Right.
So Matt, especially with there's only two guys in the thing, like he'd farm stuff out if it's something he couldn't do, or get his friend to do stuff with him.
But that's always been a minor pet peeve. So I haven't really done a scientist character yet. So I'm trying to keep it like, best chemist, best whatever, and I'm even going as far as like to me, magicians are different specialties, like, like explosive magic or necromancy or healing magic, like I got no problem with Doctor Strange being the master of all magical disciplines, but Brother Voodoo shouldn't be just as good. Brother Voodoo should be good at whatever voodoo is. And you know what I mean? But whatever.
Well,
so
wasn't Hank Pym a biologist, but he invented Ultron?
Right. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
That's why the movies had Tony Stark do it, because it is more, if you're thinking like the engineer should create Ultron, right? The Elon Musk is an engineer.
Right.
And he'll buy Marvel Comics and make you the editor-in-chief.
There we go. Yeah. Let's start with Henry Pym. So we'll start with Henry Pym since you brought him up. And so the jerk brought up Forge, which I want to talk about.
Forge is a mutant power. So
right. So we'll talk about Forge. Let's talk about Henry Pym since you brought him up. So I'll get some images if you want to talk about him.
Sure. So Hank Pym, obviously, is Ant-Man, Giant Man, Goliath, and then Yellow Jacket. And he started out as officially in 1962 as a biologist, and it was the Man in the Molehill, I think, or something like that. And they weren't going to use him. Right. They weren't going to use him again. And then they decided to create Ant-Man. And officially, I think the creators are Stan Lee and Larry Lieber and Jack Kirby, because one plots, one wrote, and one drew it. And he had
how you know it's Larry Lieber? It's
not alliterative.
Right.
Yeah, Stan Lee always did Peter Parker, Reed Richards, Sue Storm. His brother Larry Lieber did not. Anthony Stark. He likes Anthony better, but still Tony Stark, Anthony Stark, Don Blake. Those are all Larry Lieber creations. Or at least he named them. And so this guy's a biologist, and he's creating a shrinking pill, which would be a biology thing. Not Ozempic. Early Ozempic turned a normal human being into Ant-Man. And then he took a pill to get big, which is like an Alice in Wonderland thing.
Oh, man, you just made me think of something gross. Now, what if Ant-Man, when he took the pill, he pooped out all of his body fat and got small?
Yeah, well, what happens is, because you go through this a lot because of the way you think about comics. like in the 50s and up until almost the 70s, you needed no reason to create a power. They just had powers. He could shrink. Nobody knows where his mass went. And then with the Marvel Universe, it went into another dimension. And it's these tortured explanations, which had to be explained at the time, but it's a little bit of a push. None of it really makes a whole lot of sense. So the funny thing is, so he becomes Goliath, comes back, he leaves, and he's Giant Man. He leaves the Avengers. He comes back as Goliath. He gets stuck. And then he's diddling around and he creates a robot. Why would a biologist create a robot? That's an engineer. And that was Ultron. So he invented the most dangerous villain for the Avengers possible.
Right. Yeah,
the guy who was Ant-Man.
Ultron is one of, if not the most dangerous Avengers villain. Yeah.
And he never created another robot after. He didn't create a robot. He didn't work on the, and when they had him go inside the Vision had human type of biology that Neil Adams drew, not like an alien robotic biology. I think he did create the word android. No, not synthezoid.
Yes.
But they treated him like an engineer and a biologist at the same time.
Right.
And when he came back to the West Coast Avengers as just Hank Pym, he was shrinking things. It's still more of an engineer. So Hank is, I don't think he's the smartest one, though.
No, it's good that you brought it up. He's not the smart, but also he was an insect specialist, so an entomologist or
an entomologist. That's right.
Yeah, he was an entomologist who invented robots. And it's so like I have an invented character.
He's officially a biochemist. Okay,
right, biochemist.
So they understand molecules and particles but not. He doesn't build. Tony Stark builds the robots.
Right, and don't forget, he also built the wings on himself when he was Yellow Jacket, and he inserted bio wings on Janet Van Dyne.
Well, the bio wings fit a little more than the mechanical wings, right? That he got that she could fly. I don't know why he couldn't make himself fly when he was Ant-Man. It doesn't make any sense. They might as well all fly.
He could talk to ants. You know what I mean? It's like.
Yeah, he designed that helmet. That's an engineering thing, too. He didn't send it to his friend to design.
In Heroic Tales 1, I introduced a character, Dr. Robug, and he is an insect specialist and robotics. But so, like, if he builds robots, they're going to look like insects. That's how. But like, he specifically is a robot engineer and an insect scientist. And I always get that mixed up. Entomologist. And future story for him when he returns someday.
Well, like in comics, you're thinking about insects. So your comics, everybody's the best of the best of the best. Now we'll get to who the best is, and most people probably agree. But and it reminds me of Smythe, the guy who created the Spider Slayers, for J. Jonah Jameson. Right? Like he was they're all so smart. Out of nowhere, some guy can create these things that can fight Spider-Man or the Scorpio or the Fly, and
that's
Jonah Jameson should be
all of those guys. Yeah, I was gonna say all those guys you just mentioned were created by J. Jonah Jameson. J. Jonah Jameson
should be in jail.
Super villain. Yeah.
Yeah, he really is a super villain. The stakes weren't that high. Yeah. But everybody's the best. They create these wonderful things, and then you wonder why, like you would say, why isn't no cancer in the Marvel Universe? Because these guys could all figure it out, maybe in the drop of a hat.
Right. I imagine time travel is probably more difficult than cancer.
I would think so. Well, Dr. Doom is on the list as one of the great inventors, and he's almost a master of magic arts. And what else does Dr. Doom do?
Well, since you brought up Dr. Doom, so let's talk about Dr. Doom. I'll find some art.
Dr. Doom was
tell us about Dr. Doom.
He was a gypsy who ended up. Well, we didn't know he was a gypsy, but he's a gypsy. I guess you're not supposed to say gypsy anymore, but I don't know the other words for it.
You could say gypsy.
Who went to college, Empire State. It's always Empire State University, with Reed Richards and Reed Richards' roommate before Ben Grimm. And Reed was reading, and he was doing these exciting. I'm not sure what the experiment was. Doing exciting experiments, and Reed said, "Hey, you're a little off you're off by a decimal over here." And he had too much hubris and arrogance and ego to change it. and the whole thing blew up, and he became Doctor Doom. Byrne changed the origin later. They changed the origin later, but that was his original origin. And after Spider-Man, Fantastic Four 5, which he just kind of showed up and took over the Baxter building and took Sue hostage. And, at that point, you just think he was a robot. He was not. He designed his own armor, and an earlier version of this armor, which never got streamlined like Iron Man's armor. There's always this old-looking armor.
Yeah, well, it came out perfect.
Yeah. Well, he thought everything he did was perfect.
I just think Dr. Doom is just one of the greatest. I think he's the greatest supervillain of all time. Just so.
Well, he's the king of Latveria, and which he was kind of like sometimes a benevolent king, and sometimes he was not a benevolent king. And it's an old, it looked like an old ski lodge town in Europe when they drew it out. And he would come to the United States, and he'd have a diplomatic immunity, so he could literally destroy New York, and they couldn't touch him. Which I don't think diplomatic immunity goes that far, but apparently, maybe
diplomatic immunity, as far as I know, is on the way to the UN. You can't get pulled over by the police, you know what I mean. And so
I don't think it covers murder.
Yeah, you can't.
Maybe he had a proactive pardon.
Again, this is an easy one for the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has to say you must name the crimes that you pardoned for.
Well, Ford pardoned Nixon. And Reagan pardoned the people in Iran-Contra. That's why Colonel North had a life. It's been done.
Yeah, but has it been challenged? You need to be convicted.
I don't think they challenged that. Nixon is the closest one to this, I think. It's been done about 4 times.
Right. But what I'm saying,
and you know what Carter did it. Here's something, and Carter did it for the Vietnam vets that went to Canada. No, the ones who didn't want to go to the war, they were drafted and they went to Canada. He pardoned them.
Yeah, but were they were I don't know, but were they convicted of something or charged with something?
No, not yet. That's why they were in Canada. If they come back, they're charged as deserters, I guess.
If everybody's is considered, if we are so off target, but if in America if everybody is innocent until proven guilty, then you don't need a pardon until you're proven guilty.
Yeah, no, he should. I'm on your side. I'm not arguing with you.
But anyway, I wanted to talk about.
I almost died. That guy can go in jail for the rest of his life. I don't care.
Dr. Doom was working on a machine in college at Empire State University, and later on, I think it was the Fantastic Four annual that was all about Dr. Doom. They gave us some wonderful backstory that Dr. Doom's mother, Valeria, was a gypsy witch. A gypsy witch. Woo, as if gypsy wasn't bad enough. She's a gypsy witch. And when she died, or I forget what, but anyway, her soul is in hell under Mephisto's control. And Dr. Doom was trying to make that machine that to either talk to Mephisto or talk to Valeria. I forget the exact details, so he can bargain for her soul back. And that's what blew up. So I'm under the impression, even if it was perfectly engineered, Mephisto blew up that machine.
That's possible. And also, he had that adventure with that great graphic novel with Doctor Strange to go get. Once a year, he went back. Went back to his mother. What they don't use enough, because he's also a magician, like a Doctor Strange level magician. Not quite Doctor Strange, but almost.
Right.
Like you would like the metaphysician type. And what I really is genius is look at his costume, and what the slight variations that he's had. It's just so simple, and it screams like European ruler. Just the gold and just the green, simple green, and the big belt.
Oh, isn't it so good? It's just such
anytime they change his Walt Simonson gave him a different armor, which was fun, but it always goes back to this because you really can't beat this for Dr. Doom. And you could see his eyes, and Kirby would draw these eyes that have melting flesh.
I was talking to somebody on Twitter the other day, and they said during the John Byrne run, when they took the bandages off after the initial explosion, Victor just had a scar, and he said
That's
that was
right.
a retcon. And he brought up Fantastic Four 200, where Doctor Doom's face was all scarred, and I said, as far as I know, Kirby and Lee had that his whole face got damaged, but they never showed it. So to me, it's not much of a retcon, but like but I thought it was just brilliant, a brilliant take on Doctor Doom, that he was so arrogant and he was so handsome that this one scar was a flaw that ruined his face. And then Byrne said that when he put the mask on, because he figured his face was ruined anyway, and his impatience,
He was so hot.
or maybe he was punishing himself. Who knows? He burnt himself. So that's why in Fantastic Four 200, his face was all destroyed, because Doom's ego, at what one flaw might as well be a billion flaws. Who cares at this point? I'm no longer perfect. But begs the question: there's no plastic surgery in Latvia.
Kirby did a drawing of Doctor Doom, not for the comics that's been still around, that would just have a scar like right here, and that's it. And that people latched onto that, and they tried to make it like a dispute between Lee and Kirby. But I don't think they had much of a dispute over Doctor Doom.
And Kirby Lee would have been like, yeah, whatever sells more comics, he agrees with.
Well, yeah. I have a theory that about Kirby and Ditko is that Lee did not screw them over as much as Marvel and Martin Goodman did with the money, and that's underreported. But that's my feeling. So
you brought that up, and I do agree with that. So Soda Jerk Classic says, do you guys like Brubaker's take on Doom? I believe it was stated that Doom had self-awareness. I don't know anything about that. That must have been after.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like a good idea.
But like that makes Doom a mutant. That makes Doom a mutant, and I don't like Doom as a mutant.
No, I like him and Reed Richards to be almost equal, and Reed, who's egotistical and arrogant himself. Because if you go and read the Kirby Lee, the Fantastic Four, he wasn't always. He's barking at everybody.
He was
and
almost
thinks who he is, but he's not as bad as Doom. And that's what Doom. Usually the like Thanos. Nobody beats Thanos, but Thanos' human side always makes him trip up, and he loses. And that's usually how a lot of these villains lose, and that's how Doctor Doom usually loses too.
This is a pretty interesting take. I didn't think of it, but it makes sense. The hot mask was part of the ritual. Those monks maybe scarred themselves. That's pretty interesting. I know that Mark Waid had a story where Doom revisited the monastery, and they found out like that monastery has, or was it Robert Hickman? I forget, but there was like a greater power that was Doom's master, which, if you know anything about Doom, he never has a master, so.
Yeah, that's how, right, exactly. Doom is the master. Doom is the one in Secret Wars that outsmarted the Beyonder and pretty much was about to win the whole thing.
Yeah, I love the Beyond. I love Secret Wars. That was, to me, was just like, out of all the comics I read, that comic to me was like a little kid playing with his toys. That was so much fun. My only nitpick was, and people jump down my throat. That's fine. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. I don't know if I ever asked you this, Marcus. What is your take of this? You can't steal the Beyonder's power because the Beyonder is his power. If you steal the Beyonder's power, you become the Beyonder. You just get destroyed in this avalanche of power, and so now Doom is wiped out because he's just a flea.
I'd have to go back and look, because my feeling is that you're right, that Beyonder isn't a person. He made himself a person to kind of fit in, especially in the lame Secret Wars 2. But he's kind of like, he's a bigger than a person. I mean, literally is a god, right?
Right. And so I got to read up.
I think you're right. I would think that's that controversial. I mean, he can do what he wants, but
yeah, people jumped on me, and that's fine. That's fine. I got no problem. But
I think that's a valid thought.
I was doing a little bit of research because I was putting up those pitches for Marvel, and I wanted to do something with the Eternals, but I know since I quit Marvel, they expanded upon Galactus and the Eternals, and they have some sort of purpose. Because I wanted to do a Fantastic Four Galactus pitch that would fix 263, the trial of Reed Richards. The secret lore behind that. Why? Because Galactus is evil. If Galactus is just a test, then he's evil. Earth defeated the test. Galactus is done. but whatever.
Well, yeah, saying he's beyond evil is yeah, it's a bit of a stretch. It's a very Byrne thing to do if you really read a lot of his books, so it's not a surprise. The fact that we're talking about it this long,
Right.
the story did what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you think. I don't think Byrne didn't think that he had the last word. Well, he always thinks he has the last word, but you know what I mean. Had the real last word on it.
Hey, Rex, how you doing? So back to Dr. Doom. I subscribe to the theory, the John Byrne theory, that the specialist is the best. So Dr. Doom, much to if he could hear me, we got to whisper this so Dr. Doom doesn't hear. He can't be the best inventor because he's not the specialist. He's also the second best wizard. So, like, to me, he's at the best he could be is the second best inventor and the second best wizard.
Well,
if he only had one specialty, then he would be the specialist. You know, but I will say that Dr. Doom is probably the greatest roboticist on Earth. You know, you can't take 10 steps without tripping over a Doombot.
That's true. In fact, a lot of his big stories were done by Doombots, apparently.
Retroactively, there were Doombots.
The X-Men one was a Doombot because Byrne got really pissed about it. But
yeah, how did you kill the mutant for the suffrontage? I thought but yeah, Byrne got pissed by it.
Yeah, Byrne was pissed at Claremont for that one. Arcade lights a match on him, and he's like, "How is that possible? Why would Byrne just not blow him away? Why would Doom not blow him away?"
Doom will never accept being second to anyone. His ego's too. Yeah.
Well, that's what trips him up, right?
Which is why I think Dr. Doom should also be a constant thorn of Doctor Strange. You know what I mean?
He isn't a thorn enough of Doctor Strange.
Right. You know what I mean? He should be fighting Doctor Strange just as much as Reed Richards. Although it's personal with Reed Richards because he views Reed Richards. I mean, think about it. Whether Dr. Doom is just scapegoating Reed Richards or he personally believes this, he was making a machine to rescue his mother, and in his mind, Reed Richards sabotaged it. That's personal.
Right. That is true.
Right. I'm not excusing Dr. Doom's behavior because part of me believes that even if that machine was perfect, Mephisto wouldn't allow it. Because I think even Mephisto would be like, I can't have this guy, with the machine that can access my realm. When Doom steered that mess to his face, he leveled way up. Yep. Dr. Doom, though, you think Batman's Mr. Contingency guy? Supposedly Dr. Doom has a piece of the true cross in his armor in case Dracula attacks him. You know, he's got magical wards inside the armor, to deflect magical spells.
And you talk about how great Dr. Doom was. Dr. Doom defeated, I think, between 55 and 60. He literally defeated the Fantastic Four. And they walked away like beaten.
Right.
And he done that a couple of times. And like you read that and you realize this is the first time the heroes lost. Like Stan Lee and Jack had the guts to have their heroes lose. Now they made a comeback, but in that first scene, they lost. They were done. It's really kind of interesting. He stole the Silver Surfer's powers twice.
Yeah, if I was to run Marvel, I would make a list of villains that you have to ask permission to use, because you can't just have Dr. Doom get defeated by your cool creation of the week. To what do they call that? A jobber. You can't just make Dr. Doom a jobber to your pet character.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like this, I know it's a cool story, but Luke Cage can never defeat Dr. Doom in my mind.
Well, that was funny though.
Yeah, it was funny.
The classic
Squirrel
story.
Girl, She-Hulk on her own cannot. I'll say even the Hulk cannot defeat Dr. Doom unless it's a Doombot. You know what I mean? So like anytime Dr. Doom gets defeated by one of these other characters,
you bring up the Hulk. Where does Bruce Banner come into this?
Yeah, we'll get to Bruce Banner. He's a good one. From what I understand, Doom went on a machine demonstration because he refuses to believe he's capable of making a mistake. Correct. That's exactly it. And Soda Jerk says, isn't he the best at time travel? He's the second best because Kang has to be the best. He's the specialist.
No, Kang is Kang isn't related. They almost tried to make Kang related to Doctor Doom. Remember that?
Well, they
Rama Tut.
Ramatut, Kang, Immortus, Doctor Doom, and Reed Richards are somehow all related through time.
Yeah, Byrne connected Reed Richards' father.
Right.
But previously, almost from the beginning. Now, at the beginning of Marvel, could you imagine they came up with something as complicated as Immortus being connected? This was like in 1964 to Kang and Ramatut. Like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby did that.
Yeah. I Kirby, like I said, his imagination was like borderline supernatural.
Well, he couldn't drive.
Yeah.
By the way, especially as he got older, because he had so many ideas, he couldn't pay attention to the road. He kept crashing the
Compare myself to Kirby, I do that too. I miss my exit because I'm daydreaming.
Yeah. He gets an accident. They had to stop him from driving. Roz used to have to drive him everywhere. He couldn't even pick up the kids from school.
I think I heard someone theorize that the original plan was for Kang and Doom to be the same person, just from different time periods. Yeah, at one point they experimented. I like the idea that Kang is a descendant. Because Kang would have to know stuff. It's a little too complicated. It sounds cool, but that means Kang and Doctor Doom is also Immortus, and then Immortus would never be a beneficial being. But I don't know. I like the idea that Doctor Doom has a child somewhere down the line. And maybe that child goes back in time, and it's also Reed Richards. Because. Or maybe Reed Richards' father, as his travels throughout the time, he's kind of a cad. He fathers, a brother to Reed Richards that goes off to become Kang and Ramatut and Doctor Doom. I don't know. Someday we'll have a genealogy. I love that stuff. So, who did you mention? Banner. So let's talk about Banner.
Well, Banner, I guess he invented the gamma bomb. I guess the gamma bomb's really a failure, right? I don't remember them actually using it as a bomb.
Right.
It just that all these characters became gamma irradiated. But he was bright enough to do that, and then he would have to go to Reed Richards to try to, remember there's many times he tried to get to the Fantastic Four to cure himself of the Hulk. So, and then there's times where he was the best of the best.
Yeah, so he's what, an expert at like atomic science, nuclear physics or something like.
It's got to be nuclear physics,
right? Physics. But what else did he ever invent? I can't think. I
can't really. Yeah, they always had him in a lab coat and stuff.
Yeah, he was always there.
They didn't really get. It's like they just put anybody in a lab coat and put some beakers in their hand, and they're the.
Look, I'm doing science.
Yeah, it's just general science, right? And they don't even. I'm looking it up because I can't believe I wouldn't remember what he did, but they don't even say. Like he doesn't have his own list. It's just with the Hulk. And they don't say,
the only other major inventing thing that I remember he did is, you remember when he like separated himself from the Hulk?
That was Byrne separated.
And even at the time, I was like, this is the hulkiest pushing this.
Byrne was gonna separate. I think did Byrne separate him when Al Milgram finished it? So yeah. Nuclear physics. He's a nuclear physicist from Caltech. But nobody knows a nuclear physicist.
Yeah, and later on he became a college roommates or college friends with Walter Lankowski, Sasquatch.
Right. Yeah. Well, the characters are around 60, 70 years. Like you can't ask me or John exactly what they're doing now. He could be a hamster technologist right now. I have no clue. So, they changed them so much.
So, I mean, I like I said, I don't really recall him. I mean, I know he's science guy and he's a genius and everything like that.
Yeah, he's a nuclear physicist. So I remember when they always were getting the big minds together of the hero minds, it was always Reed and Bruce Banner, who hopefully turned into Hulk, and then Hank Pym. And wasn't Hank Pym's assistant Foster, right? And he became Foster, Giant Man. Bill Foster.
Bill Foster, Giant Man. Yeah. Black Goliath.
What makes it difficult is that they mix all these sciences together. Every scientist does every science. Every doctor does every doctoring, exactly what you say. So you're like, what do these guys do?
Yeah, that's what Rex Blazer is saying. Yeah, they're scientists, so therefore they're every type of scientist.
Yeah,
So I think we could agree that Banner doesn't make the list as top inventors.
well, like and also I was looking stuff up. I was looking up Red Skull. Red Skull's not a scientist. Genius level intellect. Everybody's a genius level intellect.
Right.
Everybody's an expert at kung fu and and hand to hand combat. Like, what level is that? And you can't keep saying that. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, genius is also, there's different types of, there's musical geniuses, there's athletic geniuses.
Yeah, well, that's true. You're right about that.
You know what I mean? So, like, I think Captain America would qualify as like a genius strategist. But
that would be Captain America.
Invent anything. Oh, before we do Tony Stark, we'll get to Tony, because we're all going to that he's up
Professor
there.
X.
But we'll go with this guy.
Well, he's not
had to be smarter than he gets credit for. Let's get a good picture. Put everybody in suspense for a minute. I want to get a good old picture of him. I don't want a new picture. Come on, there's no old school. No old school. All right, this is a good one. I like this one. All right, so we'll trade this one. Peter Parker.
You know what? He's up there. He really is up there. He might be top. I mean, this is unsaid. They don't like to say it. They like to keep him kind of dumb. But if you really read Spider-Man from the beginning, he would be a top 5 intellect. I mean, he created the web shooters.
Yeah, he created the web shooters when he was like a 15-year-old kid in his house, And I would say that Peter Parker, I agree with you. I think he's one of the top intellects in Marvel Comics. But he's kind of like, you know those stories where they say, like, oh, the smartest guy in America right now is like a bartender in California, like a guy who just never had the opportunity to Spider-Man, he was born a genius, but somewhere there's a guy who's as brilliant as music as Beethoven, but his aunt is sick and he doesn't get to perform. And you know what I mean? And he's struggling at life, because of life circumstances. Not everybody who's gifted in that particular way has an opportunity. And that's how I view Peter Parker.
A couple of things. They made him really smart. Stan Lee, Steve Ditko. They made him top of, like, he would pass all his tests without being Spider-Man. And he would be top honor student without studying because he was Spider-Man.
Right.
And then when he went to college, same thing, and he became a doctorate. And then whenever they would call Spider-Man, they really needed him, and he'd be trading bakers and stuff with Reed Richards, and we'd be like, "Wow, how smart is this kid?"
Right? Yeah, there was always like a little thought balloon. Boy, I didn't think he was that smart.
Yeah, but the movies took it away by making them natural. Took him away because Tobey Maguire did not create his thing.
Well, in the last Spider-Man, Tom Holland invented the dimensional Gasmatron.
Yeah, but also don't forget, like, he had to be helped by Tony Stark at the beginning too.
Right.
So they kind of lowered his intellect down, like he's under Stark. In fact, the first Spider-Man movie that Tom Holland was in, they kind of talked to him like Iron Man Jr., right? Now he's in his natural costume, but it took him a bunch of movies to get there.
I would say that even in the comic books, he's below Tony Stark. But
I think he's below Tony Stark. Well, yeah. Well, he's not developed as much because the writing didn't go that way. It went to more personality driven and soap opera stuff.
I think if he never became Spider-Man, he probably would have been like an Elon Musk and maybe even a Bill Gates, like a bad.
Didn't who was the writer? Didn't Dan Slott make him an Elon Musk?
Yeah,
well, he made all the money and made the big app, and he was like creating everything, and then it all crashed down on him.
Yeah, I kind of like that he became wealthy and everything.
I was reading those.
I gotta get those stories.
I was reading those online, and I did kind of enjoy them. It was nice to see him win for a set.
Right.
Like, I believe he could make an app that would be the all-encompassing app.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know. But I did enjoy, like, I saw myself in Peter Parker not studying and still getting good grades. That was me in college. I didn't take it serious. I'd wake up, I don't feel like going to class. Luckily, I did like to read, so I would read my textbooks on my own time. But I wasn't saving the world. Obviously, I was probably reading a comic book hungover back in those days. But yeah, I've always liked that about Peter Parker. Now you mentioned this guy. Let me get another one. We'll talk about Charles Xavier.
Yeah. He invented the. I know we have all issues with this. You think he's a villain, but I meant just on inventing. The Blackbird, the Danger Room. Again, he's not.
Don't say Professor X, and then Google that. Let me make sure that okay, good thing you
Don't
can't
say anything. I don't ever put X in anything. Just leave.
Right. I'll do Charles Xavier.
Yeah, right, yeah. That's pretty funny. Yeah, you can't put X in anything.
Yeah. Woo. Sorry.
You got to know what you're looking for.
It's a good thing I wasn't sharing my screen. There we go. Professor X. Now, first off, what is his specialty?
Well, that's what I forget what his special. I thought it was psychologist. Let me see. I thought it was a psychologist, but we know that he.
Would you say psychologist? I always thought it was mutation, like biology.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was. Yeah, well, I leaned to psychologist because he has mind powers. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right?
No, I never saw him have sessions in therapy and cure people.
That's
I
true.
saw
You're
him
right about that.
studying mutation, and that's how we met Myra McTaggart, who was also studying mutation because she had, the mutant son, Proteus.
Right. No, you're right about that.
And I would even say, not to sound like girl bossy or anything, but I always thought that Myra was smarter than him because it just seemed like she accomplished more, but at the same time, she was distracted by leading a team.
Don't forget, she's the one created by Chris Claremont, the creator of the Girl Boss. So that's why you feel that way.
What I always thought was funny is they introduced her as the maid, the Irish maid, and next thing you know, she's the running an island off the coast of Ireland.
So Wikipedia says he's a nuclear scientist.
Really?
Yes. Get this too. This I didn't know. He's a Grand Mesa, Westchester County, and it's a real town. North Salem is a real town in Westchester County. I've been there. North Salem, South Salem. He enters Bard College. See, this is all retcons. He didn't enter Bard College. Chris Claremont went to Bard College, which is why and so he had PhDs in genetics, biophysics, psychology, and anthropology, and a 2-year resident at Pembroke College, University of Oxford, and then an MD in psychiatry.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, an adjunct professor at Columbia University. See, this what you and I really go back to. We're thinking X-Men 1, and I'm thinking about all the neat things that they did. And then since he's a Claremont character, he's all filled out. And he went to Bard, which is pretty funny. One of the most left-leaning colleges in history. The whole side of my wife's family went there. My wife's no, not my wife's, my mother's family. My aunt went there to Bard with Steely Dan, Walter Fagan, and Steely Dan and Chevy Chase, and possibly Chris Claremont. They're all about the same age.
I would always put him as a genius, but he didn't invent the Blackbird because the Blackbird is a real military craft. I always thought he just somehow bought one or swindled somebody out of it with his mental powers. You know what I mean? But he always enhanced everything with Shi'ar technology.
Yeah, but he did stuff before that, though. I mean,
the
Danger Room, all the stuff that he had the X-Men do before he met the Shi'ar. But most of his, but you always go like he's a Deus Ex Machina. So what happens? They kill him off all the time. Roy Thomas had him killed off for months, or in the 60s.
I didn't know it was psychology. I always thought it was genetics, but what do I know?
But it is genetics. It's genetics and psychology, and he's everything. He has degrees in all this all this stuff.
And gender studies.
Yeah, well, possibly. And he entered Bard College age 16 and a bachelor in biology in 2 years. So he's a nuclear scientist. He's a PhD in genetics, biophysics, psychology, and anthropology. And then an MD in psychiatry. So he's all of it. Right? So he's really everything wrong about a character we could possibly be. You know, if he doesn't have an answer, who does?
Yep.
That's crazy. That the other characters didn't have that.
Yeah, Rex, sorry, but I didn't want to interrupt Marcus when he was talking.
That's okay. You can interrupt me.
Plus, sorry, I got distracted because there was somebody that I was in constant contact with went dark, and I realized it after about 6 days. So they just reached out to me, letting me know that they were okay. So that's why I got a little.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, good news. I'll put my phone
Good.
away so I don't get distracted because now we're messaging each other. I think they established during the Krakoa era that Myra's mutant as well, that her power is that whatever she does, she starts her life over with all her memories of her previous. Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, I think that's true. Basically, all the Krakoa era mutants were immortal.
Really?
Yeah, that's not been a good. That's been really hurt the whole.
That
franchise.
is a pretty cool and original power. Makes me wonder though, like, does she know as an infant? Like, is she? Think about how frustrating that would be. Your mother's changing the diapers, and you don't have the muscle coordination, but you're a super genius. You just got to lay there to depend on. Or do the memories come in later on? Or
that's a good question. I didn't read those comics.
Or is it a terrifying thing? You thinking alien thoughts are coming into your head, or like, do you hit puberty and all of a sudden you have all these memories? That's a really interesting, cool power. So, yeah, I kind of like that that power, but I didn't know anything about this. I got to look that up. That is a really interesting power. Yeah, we talked about Hank Pym. He was the first one we talked about. What are you apologizing for? There's a lot of retcons. He's whatever the plot needs. Yes. He's also a creep if we're talking about Xavier.
That's why writers get rid of him.
Xavier?
Yeah, because he's too easy to use. Look at all the great runs. He's never around. So he put them all together, and then Lee and Kirby left the book. Roy Thomas took it over, and then Roy Thomas had him killed. Now, he faked his death to see how his students did well because he's a dick. But he was dead for a couple of years. And then they brought him back, and then, it gets canceled. And then when he gets back, what happens? He's around, he gets a team back together, and they move him right over to Lalandra and Shiardi. He has nothing to do with the team for months.
Right. That's when I started collecting the X-Men.
And then he comes back again. Every time he comes back, it's only for a little bit when you think about it. Then he moves on somewhere because they don't know what to do with him because he's too powerful, because he can fix everything. Now, in 1963, it was okay when Stan Lee and Jack Kirby did it a couple of times. Nobody really did that before. But you can't keep doing that.
In terms of characterization, Xavier is more likable in the cartoons. I'll take your word for it.
I believe that.
I got to check it out. Maybe I could take, because in the 90s, I was completely against the X-Men. I was just like, they're villains. They're villains. I don't want to watch them. I don't want to watch their cartoons. And Xavier, to me, was the worst of the worst. I've always said it. Reading minds and mind control is a villain power. It's too easy to abuse.
Yeah.
Like, how Star Fox Eros gives people the creeps? Xavier gives me the creeps. To me, they both like take away the agency of your body and mind. It's everybody's favorite. We got Tony Stark over here. We can all agree that he's one of the pinnacles of this.
Yeah, it's 1 and 2, right? He's the top engineer. He's at least a top engineer. But then, But yeah, it creates Iron Man. He creates Iron Men. Other people use his iron. His stuff is so great it gets stolen all the time.
I'm invoking the John Byrne rule. I would say that Tony Stark is the greatest engineer.
Like, that's all right. He's an engineer, and he's the Elon Musk. He always was the engineer too. They didn't really. He always was the engineer, even in the '60s. He was the engineer. He built Stark Industries that became Stark International. They played it up a little bit during the Bob Layton years, where they really brought him and gave him more of a personality.
Right. I never saw him in the comics, and I don't claim to have read every Iron Man comic, where he's pioneering the frontiers of space. He's taking what he's reading Popular Mechanics, or he's reading something, and that strikes an idea, and he works on it and builds it.
He didn't start doing that until like the Bob Layton years. Like they really blew. Like they always say, well, Iron Man was a C character. Well, he was an A character for the Avengers. But if you read, I was going through the old Iron Man, and even the Archie good ones. He's one of these guys. His armor's so powerful that it's always failing him. He always has to do his heart. It's always breaking down. The melter is melting it. Like it's always one of these. He's always in trouble. They didn't really. He only showed out in the Avengers that you're looking in, and then finally when David Michelini and Bob Layton and John Romita Jr. did the book, then he became this super powerful, and they purposely had him put up against every powerful character to prove himself that he wasn't getting defeated all of a sudden every time. Marvel had a lot of problems with that. They had to modernize him a little, and that's where he really became solidified as a real engineer. Stark International. He's flying around in this. He creates a chair when he can't walk. Stuff like that.
I liked him for the longest time, up until about 2000, because there was a cost for his armor. Like I'm going to boost it to Hulk level strength, and then that didn't work, and he would collapse.
Yeah.
The rest of the Avengers would have to take over. But now he's got like liquid armor in his blood, and he transforms.
Oh yeah, that extremist armor. Yeah.
Yeah, I just I don't know. He might as well just be a wizard.
Well, they got rid of that eventually, I think.
Yeah, they should have said that was like killing him. It was breaking.
Maybe they did. I didn't read enough of him. I know of that. It looks good. That armor looks good. It got more and more complicated to draw, and then that armor's. Well, what they've done recently, mostly with Iron Man, is they made him a jerk because he's the white rich guy. Yep. So even in his own comic, he's the jerk, and somebody's always telling him he's the jerk.
He's being lectured, and
Hellcat's lecturing him. Yeah. In the newer comic,
he had the privilege of saving the Earth. Riri Williams, you're alive because Tony Stark saved the Earth.
Riri Williams stole all her stuff. Yeah. Ironheart.
Yep. Of course, being a straight rich guy, Tony's on the bash list. I know. That's because they're making him Elon Musk, and now they're mad at Elon Musk for balancing out freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Yep. Because the left wanted total control of all media, but Elon Musk gave balance to the because Elon Musk slants to the right.
So, he was a hero of the left for the longest time.
Right. But if you deviate from the left one molecule, you're extreme right.
Well, they have their own problems now.
Yep.
Because now there's ones that are too far. I mean, the communists, like out now, not like he's a communist because we don't like him. And we're talking out and out communists. So you live right next to that. You go into his city. That guy. Whew.
Most of my favorite villains use mind control or similar mind warping. Yeah. The ability to influence people's minds, the ability to take away an individual's agency.
Well,
that's a villain power. That's why I've always had a problem with Xavier.
Right. Rex Blazer talks about telekinesis here. But telekinesis isn't reading people's minds. Telekinesis is what the Patriarch uses, and Jean Grey usually uses. Like, that's telekinesis. They made her super powerful so she could save the shuttle and then become the Phoenix. That was telekinesis. Now, I don't remember when she got that powerful, and I read those comics, but they made her that powerful, at least for that comic. Where you can levitate yourself, you can fly. I think that Sue Storm is a form of telekinesis, too. When you think about it.
Yes and no, because this is nitpicky. Like if I have telekinesis, I could point to that thing over there and it levitates, and there's nothing in between.
Right.
Where she is extending a solid force.
Yeah, she's creating a form. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I
Question,
didn't think,
think
yeah,
that
it's
people
not the same.
able to affect things physically with their minds should be able to warp their own body. Should they? No. Could they? Yes. That, if the patriarch has telekinesis, so his body is liquid, those are two different powers. You know what I mean?
No, I wouldn't think that. I mean, that doesn't. He can't really affect his own. I mean, in telekinesis, he can make his fist. His fist is regular, and then he can put a power over his fist to make it a punch stronger, which he does, and we can't see it, right?
Right.
And maybe if you really want to draw it out, you could and put like power over it. But he's not changing the size of his fist.
Right. He's not.
That's a different power.
It's. I have a. I don't know if he'll ever make it to a comic book, but I have a telekinetic who's so powerful he could cause nuclear explosions. He could cause, atoms to collide and stuff like that. And he could transmute, like he could transmute his hand into steel and still stay alive. But that's like at a level that the patriarch will never be able to achieve. The patriarch isn't that dedicated.
He's a pretty powerful telekinetically, all the stuff he does do.
Yeah, but it's like regular to me, there's levels of telekinesis. Like Jean Grey was able to telekinetically move molecules around and like transform. Like, didn't she turn a tree into like steel, and Colossus or Wolverine fell over or something like that?
I think so, but it's also a misuse of the power. You know how every writer has a different idea of it.
Yeah, well, the Phoenix Force
makes it fun.
Yeah.
It's like arguing about the Scarlet Witch, right?
Yeah. There's an unspoken rule that telekinesis is not used on the internal organs of people. In a comic called Rising Stars by J. Michael Straczynski, there was a woman that she had telekinesis, but only within 10 feet, and she could only lift 5 pounds. So she thought she was a loser, and she got recruited by the government and the CIA as an assassin. So she would go to a bar and flirt with the guy, and then create an embolism in his blood, and he would go and die. Or have you know what I mean? She like untraceable assassin. I remember Hank McCoy was talking right before Nimrod debuted in the X-Men, and he was talking about Sentinels, and he says it's only a matter of time before Sentinels just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and he goes, and then the worst is going to happen. They're going to get small. And I always thought that was a weird. And then a couple of years after that, we started talking about nanites. Remember, nanites were the rage. Everything was nanites.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But so that's what telekinesis could be. Is like, you. So me and you were talking, and I just pinch your carotid artery.
Yeah, that's rough. That's a rough. That's like a boy style power,
To give an example of what I mean, say a telekinetic person was dissatisfied with how they look. Could they change? That's up to you as the writer and how you explain the powers.
Right, right.
If the patriarch was to change his nose, he would just break his nose. He doesn't have the ability to, he's not Mask from the Morlocks. Xavier has created all the X-Men villains. Juggernaut. Did Xavier create Juggernaut? I thought
Juggernaut's his stepbrother, right?
He found the gem. Like he was like a bad evil.
He's got the Crimson Bands of Sidorak created the Juggernaut.
Did he create Magneto?
I think Magneto was his rival.
Right. I don't think he created Magneto.
He's another genius intellect, and he creates stuff, but I wouldn't put him up there either. Like all these guys are genius. Hank McCoy, there's another one. Now he's a biophysicist too.
Cassandra Nova, I do have those, but she was in the womb with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was weird, right? I felt a lot of X-Men at that. That was too weird for me.
Danger is.
I'm not a huge fan of Frank Quietly, I mean.
Yeah, in the show Babylon 5. I gotta watch Babylon 5. I've never watched it. The human telepaths were developing. See, that always drives me nuts. Is the ability to read people's minds. Is telepathy is far feeling. You can feel things from far away. Telekinetics is kinetic is move. You can move things. They're different powers, but they always seem to get conflated. Like my brother always says, like, oh, why doesn't Xavier use his telepathy to move objects? Because telepathy is reading minds and telekinesis. Or why doesn't he use his telekinesis to read people's minds? Because telekinesis is not mind reading.
That's right. Yeah, that's an important. And they, but it's not just your brother. The writers, Jean Grey. There's times where she was a telepath, but basically she's a telekinetic, not a telepath. But they've used her as a telepath at times.
Yeah. When did she develop telepathic powers?
That's a good question.
I got to look that up.
Somebody misused it at some point.
Are we really sure Xavier did not create all it? Then Juggernaut and Magneto have no agency.
Well, it's like, is it jealousy? Well, I'm jealous of you. Did you create me as a villain? The jealousy is my problem, not yours.
I should not be rich and handsome, stuff like that, because I'll make somebody else jealous.
I know. Look at you.
I know. I can't help it. I was born this way, Marcus. What do you want me to do?
But like, if I'm jealous of you, then that's my problem, not your problem. You didn't make me jealous just because you did better at your job or something. And that right? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me.
So we'll go with Hank McCoy next. That's a good one. I forgot about him.
But Hank, I don't think really created he created the Beast, right? The hairy Beast.
He did. That's funny. Oh,
and then it's funny. The funny thing is, in the Avengers that you're looking at now, his basic thing is that he's smart and goes and figures stuff out because he doesn't fight anybody because he's not any strong. He's strong, but he's not really strong enough for that level of. Even Cap is not really strong enough for that level. He just has a shield. For those danger things that they deal with,
Yeah, I Beast looks so cool, and I really didn't like when they turned him into the cat lion beast.
I didn't like that too because I could draw the Beast. Like the way Perez draws the Beast is like the perfect Beast to me. Perez then Byrne, like that's the same Beast, and you would draw that, and that it would look just like that.
So why do you think Juggernaut and Magneto try to protect themselves from Xavier's telepath? Because they're vulnerable to it.
It's the only thing they are vulnerable to.
Right. It's marketed. Juggernaut is so powerful that the only thing that can defeat him is a mental attack. So the magic helmet protects him. And Magneto, like you said, Charles Xavier is so powerful. I mean, in a way, don't you think like Xavier, he's pretty irresponsible. Like Xavier's in the news, or Cyclops, like there's a school shooting in Connecticut. Xavier should be able to with the Cerebro, he should make it so that like
research scientist. So he's officially a research scientist.
Right. I always put like Hank, he's smarter than the average bear, but
well, I think he became an expert in genetics because he's an X-Men.
Right.
And they played that up, and obviously created that Beast persona, which makes sense actually of all the things that they could do. But they went back and forth. He's smart enough, and I can't do this, to decide on what his speech patterns are. So he started out talking more like the Thing, and then he started talking super intellectual. Like people don't decide to do that. That's really difficult to do.
Yeah, I always liked Hank McCoy. And I was introduced to him in the Avengers, where he's kind of a jerk. If you remember, in Avengers 50, they asked a Hellcat to join the Avengers, and Beast goes, "Nah, she's not ready." It's like, Beast,
she wasn't.
Yeah, but Beast, you've been an Avenger for 4 minutes, and then you spent the next 20 issues not doing anything.
But he was an X-Men for such a long time.
Yeah. But
the thing about I like when they created the character, the X-Men, he was the strong man of the X-Men. He took on the Juggernaut. And then as everybody got more powerful in the Marvel Universe, they never made him more powerful. He stayed like Spider-Man level. He's not even that strong, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think.
Remember, Walt Simonson and Louis Simonson traded. He got stronger, and dumber and dumber.
Yes,
that was interesting. It was wasted on X Factor. It was wasted on X Factor. Yes, he was Rex. He was one of the original X-Men, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know he was. I thought there was two different characters of the same name for a long time.
I don't blame you.
I didn't know he was the original Beast until the X-Men 138 when he wore
But
the
that,
rubber.
that makes a lot of sense. If you picked it up when you did, you would not know. You wouldn't know. Absolutely not.
This is a great drawing. I like this. This looks
Yeah,
really
that
good.
is a nice drawing.
Yeah. So who next? You want to talk about Forge? Because I got a lot to say about Forge.
Well, you could talk. Well, we know. I'll start Forge's origin. You have more opinions on Forge than I do. To me, Forge is a mutant, and his mutant powers will invent things, and it's guns, and it's technological stuff. He's really smart. He's not a genius level. I don't know if he knows what he's making half the time. And he forged his own leg when he lost his leg, and he fell in love with Storm. And he's a Native American, which is really important in Chris Claremont's DEI X-Men. See, what the secret about X-Men is, and this goes to your point a little bit, Claremont made them, they were always a DEI group, always different people. It wasn't DEI black. They just want an international group. But as it went along, it became more women than men. Bishop was black. Forge is Native American. Like, that's a very, Claremont was early SJ, without destroying people. He wasn't canceling anybody, but he was really DEI and SJW tropes. Even in the Claremont, even the Silvestri X-Men, Jim Lee X-Men, all that, it's all over that. So this is Forge. I mean, he comes out of nowhere and he has mutant power that he can basically make guns. I don't have a whole big opinion of him.
I always liked Forge. I always thought it was cool. But to me, there's a problem with Forge. Does he just, because, so what's his mutant power? Can he makes things, or is he super intelligent? You know what I mean? Because
I'm gonna look that up, because I think that he just makes things. I don't know if he's super intelligent.
So I would think that his mutant power is he builds things. Now, that gun, for instance, I would say it's made by mutant power, so therefore it doesn't make any sense. Like, we need a gun. He starts slapping stuff together that kind of what he thinks makes sense for a gun, and it works. It works because that's his mutant power. If you were to take that gun, or if Reed Richards was to take that gun and reverse engineer it, Reed Richards would be like, this doesn't work. This makes no sense. It works because that's it. Just like Colossus's armor makes no sense. Nightcrawler teleporting makes no sense. It's just a mutant power. That's what I think. I'm probably wrong. I'm probably, like, all the Marvel editors will probably tell me I'm crazy. He's American Indian, so therefore he's the greatest. But he's a mutant power to make, like, his leg works because that's his mutant power.
So it says here that he's a mutant with innate superhuman talent for invention and is an intuitive genius. He is trained as a medicine man. He primarily relies upon technology rather than mysticism.
Right.
And then he got in, and he ended up joining the military, and he served in the Vietnam War, would make him about 80 years old now.
Right, I know.
So, like, they have to update that. Probably Afghanistan would be more realistic.
But if I was to take over the X-Men, there would be like Forge. His machines don't make sense.
Well, he worked for the Defense Department.
Like, they can't be replicated, they can't be repaired except by him, because they're almost like swabbed together by a cartoon character.
Yeah, they didn't get that deep into it. See, nobody really understands what he's doing. He just creates stuff. They needed him to create that gun to get rid of Storm's powers and have him fall in love with her.
Yeah, he can make any kind of machine that you can think of. So, like, could he make the cure cancer machine?
Yeah, but they said intuitive genius. See, there's your thing. There's your what you think. That's your thing where you could get into exactly what you're saying. Intuitive genius to me means he does not always know what he's making.
Right.
Like, you can't, like, maybe you can't reverse engineer it. Does it all make sense? And he's doing mainly weapons. He's not doing anything I guess they're of importance, but he's not making a flying car.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Because, like, if he can invent anything, all right, so he makes the replicator, and now the whole world is a paradise, like Star Trek. You know what I mean? Like, he can't make anything, otherwise the status quo of the Earth would be different. He can't make
so it's always got to be weapons. Yeah, and especially. Yeah.
Could he make the resurrection machine? Because then they don't need Krakoa.
Huh.
Could he make the machine that every mutant can control their powers machine. Is he a wizard or is he a techno? So I think he makes whatever he can build, and it only works because his mutant power makes it work. That's how so by default, he's not the greatest inventor because he's just a mutant.
No, but it's not. No, I think you're right. I agree.
But that's, but who am I?
It's not a cool power from the half.
It is a cool power, yeah. It's funny because when you Google, I always say Reed Richards. I never say Mr. Fantastics. He's one of those.
Mr. Fantastic is a silly name on purpose. So.
It really is.
I mean, he could be rubber. Well, they couldn't make him Plastic Man, and they couldn't make him Rubber Man's too silly. So I guess Mr. Fantastic is it. It fits with the Fantastic Four as opposed to describing exactly what he does.
Yeah, it's funny because in my role-playing games, my analog for him was Dr. Elastic.
Yeah, you could do that. They weren't going to do that. I don't know if they were going to do that, but I wonder if I think they just want to do it so they can name it the Fantastic Four.
Right. But I don't know. You could have Dr. Elastic in the Fantastic Four. I mean, it's kind of egotistical that he named the team after himself.
Well, I think that, I read a lot of the Kirby Lee stuff. Forget the stuff in the, like the beginning is, he was kind of egotistical. He really did not treat Sue all that well. Shut up, woman, I'm working here.
In Reed's defense, she was just like a child, though. Reed was walking around doing something important. She'd be like, "Why don't you pay attention to this new dress that I bought?" He's like, "Lady, I'm trying to solve this problem over here."
She wasn't quite if you go read them. She got kidnapped a lot and stuff. She wasn't quite as bad as the media would have you believe. She valued it. And I mean, she became the most powerful member of the team after Byrne was finished with her. But she held her own for a while. In the 70s, of course, they broke up and divorced because he put his son in a coma because he was too powerful. So.
Sue is just unpleasant in the 70s.
Yeah, I read those. She is unpleasant in the 70s. You really felt bad for Reed.
I wanted to put her into a coma next. Okay, Franklin's in a coma. Sue, you're next.
Oh, I remember that. She's I remember that issue too.
Yeah. I'm also stand on the hill that Rogue shouldn't have Carol Danvers' powers permanently.
You've said that. She doesn't keep anybody else. They said because she held on to Carol Danvers too long. I think they just needed to have it. They needed a Wonder Woman analog to fly around and bash people.
Because now her main ability is she's flying Supergirl. Her main ability, it should be that she takes your powers.
I think that's what they wanted, was to have her fly around. And she wasn't. Here's the biggest thing about Rogue is that Michael Golden didn't know she was supposed to be a teenager, so he was more of a middle-aged woman, like a 40, with a Southern drawl, and she had the short hair and she had the terrible costume forever. Nobody could make a costume for Rogue, and then she was Savage Land Rogue, and then Star was born.
Yeah, she was a rough teenager in that first appearance.
Yeah, right. Oh, and Gambit and her. Oh, God help us all. But I drew Gambit because Gambit was popular, and it would get cartoon people to sign up for my cartooning class.
Yeah, Gambit's just a character I never liked.
Don't tell Phil Diaz that.
Oh, really?
He might not print your comic.
Or worse, I'll get it. It's just pictures of Gambit.
Yeah, he's a big fan of Gambit. Watch it.
He named a trope after he'd read is useless. Amazing things expect the fish that never improve society because status quo is God. Yeah, that's
I don't know. The universe is a lot better off than we are.
There's some truth to that. A world with just look how much Elon Musk is changing the world.
But we don't see that. We never really saw that side of the world from, like what did they do? Do people have unstable molecule clothes? We don't even know. Like we don't know we knew they didn't have flying cars. Like he could have made a flying car and sold that for $1 billion. But we don't really, we don't see that side of the Marvel universe often. They kind of did that with that Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Elon Musk storyline, where he became the smartest guy in the world. And we saw that a little bit. He improved life until it wasn't.
Like,
I assume that they're just farther ahead than the regular world.
I remember the example that is over at DC. They had Metropolis became the city of tomorrow, and they had flying cars and maglevs and everything like that, and then they just got rid of it. If you
there's a lot of where
so it's like
Metropolis looks all super modern,
And I agree, characters like Tony Stark, Reed Richards, the world should be vastly different. I know I'll catch hell for saying it, but that's one of the things that they got right in the Fantastic Four movie. That world, even though it was the 60s, was more technologically advanced because of Reed Richards' invention.
But think of what we have now. Like, we thought if you go back to the 50s, they were like, the year 2000, there'll be flying cars. And we got none of that because so much, look at what happens politically. All that, a stop is put to all that stuff because everybody can't get it. And it's not fair and blah, blah, blah. They don't let real capitalism and innovation happen for the most part. With the cell phone, they did. But with other everyday stuff, they didn't. Everything's in here. It's not physically. I still get into the same car and drive. Just now, electric cars,
That's why I wanted to, when I take over, one of the comics I want to do is the influencers that have all the girl models. Because then you could see how the regular person looked. Like, you couldn't tell me Patsy Walker and Millie the Model and Chili Storm, they're not going to have unstable molecule clothes.
Oh, they would be influencers now. Yeah. It makes people make fun of that in the comics now, and these characters too. But you'd have to do that. That would be Patsy Walker's job.
Yeah, but think if Millie the Model would just be like, look at my clothes changes because it's
the Marvel universe. That's exactly what would happen.
Yeah,
but but he obviously wasn't the brightest marketer, Reed Richards, because he didn't market the stable molecules. He didn't market his flying fantastic car for everybody. He should be a billionaire. He should be a trillionaire times 10, And then, they've had a lot of storylines where the Fantastic Four had no money.
Right. On the supervillain end, we have this trope: cut Lex Luthor a check. Someone with the talent.
Well, I was looking this stuff up, and they were saying Lex Luthor is one of the inventors, an 11th level genius, and I always think like Lex Luthor pays other people to do the stuff for him. He's more of a megalomaniac.
Yeah, I would say that. Whereas Reed Richards or Tony Stark is more of like an Elon Musk, I would say, or a Tesla. Lex Luthor is more of the popularized Edison, because I don't think Edison was as bad as they.
Well, what's the default for Lex Luthor these days is Trump, right? They tried to make him like they made him run for president. They did it in the 80s before Trump. They've always done, like Burns says he based him on Trump. The saddest thing this week to find out Byrne ripped on Trump and then Frank Miller ripped on Trump and ICE. That's what I needed to know. Thanks, guys. Well, I knew that about Byrne. But,
I was going to say, did you expect any different?
Well, Byrne leans to the right about taxes and stuff, but he never liked Trump. He liked Bush.
Everybody's a left.
Called him a Democrat.
Everybody's a left-wing socialist until they make some real money, and then.
I don't think he was ever really a left-winger, like a real left-winger, and voted for Democrat. That was my feeling when I was following him on his forum. But I know he didn't like Trump all that much.
Hey, Tony.
Hi, guys. Sorry. Wait.
That's okay.
Frank Miller hated it.
I know you're usually here later in the time difference. So, Tony, we went through a whole bunch of inventors. We just started talking about Lex Luthor. Do you have any? I don't know if you were watching and know who we talked about.
No, I haven't. I could talk Luthor, but before I talk Luthor, I could give you mine.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Professor Phineas T. Horton,
Okay.
the man that essentially created the Marvel Age, the creator of the.
Okay, I thought you were talking about Phineas Fogg.
No, the creator of the Human Torch.
The Human Torch, right?
Perfect one. Good one.
Yeah, that's a
Good
good one. We didn't
Yeah,
get
good.
that.
And I would have forgotten about him. So good job.
The synthetic human, the first Marvel superhero. Everyone forgets. They say it's Namor. Namor was not a Marvel creation. Namor was acquired by Martin Goodman in a package deal. But
That's right.
the first original Marvel character was Jim Hammond, the Human Torch. Phineas T. Horton was a master of robotics and android technology beyond what Reed Richards and even Victor Von Doom were capable of. This man was a one in a million, probably the most smartest guy, most smartest human in the Marvel universe. After years of toiling, he finally created it wasn't a Human Torch, really. It was a synthetic man. And as soon as he achieved sentience, something happened. Some weird chemical reaction occurred, and the entire body of this synthetic man caught on fire. So he freaked out and put him in a tube, and then put the tube in some concrete.
That's right.
And there was a crack in the tube, a hairline crack, allowed a little bit of air to come in, which lit up the android, which woke him up. And the first appearance of the Human Torch is essentially him running around downtown New York, setting things on fire. He was not a superhero. That was the neat thing about Marvel even back then. There were no heroes. There were just anti-heroes. I think the closest thing you could get to a traditional hero for Timely was the Captain. But Namor and the Destroyer and the Human Torch and Toro and the Wizard, all these people, they were just kind of, that was the Marvel way of, we're doing these things for selfish reasons, but we're heroes, but we're not.
Even the Wizard wasn't good when he debuted.
He got bit by a cobra, and his dad gave
the mongoose.
a shot of mongoose blood, which somehow activated his mutant ability, and he fought crime he became the Wizard to get revenge on the people that killed his dad. Okay. And then he just kept doing it. So again, it wasn't like with DC where Superman is good because he's good, Wonder Woman's good because she's good, Batman is kind of Marvel, I'm getting revenge on the world that robbed my parents from me, But the majority of them are just good people doing good things because they're good. Whereas Marvel,
Flash,
as opposed to Marvel and which were very self-centered characters, which I like. That's what separated them from everybody else. But yeah, Professor Phineas T. Horton was disgraced by the performance of of the Torch, and he sort of disappeared. You then see him in the 70s, and he's married the mother of Frankie Ray. And again, Phineas accidentally gave Frankie Ray her powers when she accidentally was bathed in some of the same chemicals that were used in the creation of Jim Hammond. And she became the servant of Galactus, right, John? I'm not too much of a Marvel guy like you guys. So you're going to have to help me out with Frankie Ray.
She became one of the heralds of Galactus.
Yes.
Nova.
She was
a female. She was called the Human Torch.
Yeah, Sam.
So became Nova, and I can't for the life of me remember when she left.
And I don't know what happened to Phineas now. He's probably dead. I don't know, but he would be my vote for one of the most important inventors in comics. Now we're talking Luthor. Obviously, we're talking about the inventor. There's two Luthors. There's the criminal mastermind of the 40s, and then there's the bald-headed, petulant child with a grudge from the Superboy comics in the 60s.
Yeah,
And then
that's my favorite one.
and then there's the current day Luthor, which is Trump, which was created by John Byrne.
Yeah.
I personally find the Trump Luthor to be boring. The only time that Luthor worked for me was in the animated series, the Superman the animated series, because that was a beautiful blend of the inventor and the corrupt businessman. That was a nice blend of the two. That Superman the animated series show did what, in my opinion, John Byrne failed to do. They really did make the perfect amalgamation of the 40s and 50s and 60s, 70s, 80s, a little bit of the 90s, put it all together. I think next to the Fleischer Superman cartoons and the 78 Superman film, that is my favorite version of Superman. Now, Luthor is Luthor could do whatever you want because Luthor is basically a 12th level intelligence. That was not revealed in the 60s. That was revealed in the 70s. Does anybody here remember an author called Elliot S. Nagin? He wrote a couple of Superman novels, really good ones in the 70s. One was Miracle Monday, and the other one was The Last Son of Krypton. Very good. I recommend those books.
He wrote Superman comics, yeah.
Yeah, very good writer. And in The Last Son of Krypton, essentially it was a retelling of the Silver Age Luthor's origin from both perspectives, from Luthor's and from Superman's. And in there it's revealed that he is a 12th level intellect. That's the only reason why he was able to tangle with Brainiac and come out reasonably unscathed. You know, I mean, the two of them were equals, intellectually speaking. He can invent anything, absolutely anything. Anything that the writer wants, Luthor can invent. The 60s Luthor was an interesting thing because he hates Superman, but he loved his sister. And he would go out of his way to help his sister and make sure that she's okay and try to keep her safe. And to the Lena Thorell, his parents reversed the spelling of their last names to distance themselves from their son, and that was like his one saving grace. His love for his sister, his love for later on for his wife and kid, who were aliens from the. I'm trying to remember the name of the planet. I think it was Andor, maybe. I'm thinking about Star Wars. But anyways, there was a planet that was under a red sun. And in an issue of Superman, Luthor challenged Superman to a fist fight, no powers. Superman beat him. Of course he did, because he's Superman. But in the middle of this grudge match, Luthor realized that the people that lived in this world were hungry and they were in bad shape. And Luthor used his intelligence to create a virtual paradise on this planet. And in doing so, one of the inhabitants fell in love with him. And they had a son, Lex Luthor Jr.
Right.
And unfortunately, Lex let his grudge get the best of him because he would always come back to Earth to fight Superman. And one day, he found a suit, a specific suit, the iconic suit that was designed by George Perez, I believe. I think George Perez is the one that designed it. Everyone knows the suit, the green and purple power suit.
He had the green and purple before, but
that was the suit
as George's now.
Mm-hmm. That was the one that he had in the Superpowers toy line. I had that toy when I was a little boy. He'd press his legs together and he would do this.
Yeah, I had those. Yeah, I had that one.
His little. Anyways, he found that suit. He turned it on and somehow caused a chain reaction, which blew up the planet. which really pissed Luthor off because even though that was all his fault, he did it. For whatever reason, he blamed it on Superman. And it sucked. It ended. It was never resolved, right? Because right after that, the Crisis on Infinite Earths happened. All of that stuff was wiped away. Now, you could say that whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow is canonically the end of the Silver Age Superman. And if you go that route, Luthor ended up getting killed by Lana Lang, who broke his neck after Brainiac attached himself to his head and basically took him over. Yeah, that's all. Luthor was first portrayed in live action by a character actor called Lyle Talbot for the 1947 Kirk Allen Superman serial. He was then portrayed in live action again by Gene Hackman and Kevin Spacey, and a whole bunch of other things. But my personal favorite version of him, again, is the cartoon show from the 90s show when he was voiced by Clancy Brown.
Yeah, what a great voice.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Oh, he was also Jesse Eisenberg for those crappy Snyder films. Hated that version.
I didn't watch that movie.
They're terrible movies. Terrible movies. But they're a hell of a lot better than James Gunn.
I'll catch hell to say this, but I never liked Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor.
Well, you see, I think what they did was Gene Hackman didn't take it seriously because I'm an actor. You know, I'm an Oscar-winning actor. So he thought he was going to go like goofy with it. If I was Richard Donner, I would have been like, dude, make it more serious. Make him a threat. You know, he was very goofy. That's why I think
There's a scary real estate agent.
Exactly. And when Kevin Spacey took over the role, he was still into real estate, but he was much more. I mean, it's Kevin Spacey. He's more intense. It's more dark.
Who's a real villain?
Yeah, that was probably the best part of Superman Returns. I couldn't really tell you anything about that movie except Kevin Spacey's Luthor.
Yeah, I like I said, I like the Superman movie because it did the same thing that Batman '89 did. It made people realize you can make superhero movies that are mainstream and, you know, took them beyond the comic books. But both of them I have major problems with. You know,
I hear you, but I just think that it's an evergreen superhero film.
Yeah,
that's what I like about it. It's not cynical. It's not dark. See what Hollywood real doesn't seem to grasp is it's very easy to make a superhero Superman film. You have to just adapt what was in the comics. See, when Snyder did it, they made him a dark god, you know, a mad god. That's what I call the Snyder version of Superman, the mad god Superman. He was always dark and moody and intense and
people were
and then when that didn't work, they completely freaked out and went completely the opposite way. And that David Cornsweet Superman is the biggest fucking idiot I've ever seen in my life. He is stupid. It's like he's got brain damage or something. He's all goofy. He's dumb. He's an idiot. He's a moron. He's not.
I've come to realize my problem with that movie is he's super frat guy.
He's stupid. I'll give you an example, John. I don't think you guys have either of you seen the Supergirl film.
No,
I unfortunately did because I wanted to give it a shot. Whatever. Bad idea. There, in one of the flashbacks, they have the part where Supergirl crashes on Earth. Right. He's there to meet her. The capsule opens up. She starts talking to him in Kryptonian. And he's an idiot. He talks to her in English. Oh, you don't understand English. And he starts talking to her in slower English. You know, like, how you doing? Come here. I'm not a threat. You know what I mean? He's stupid. He's so stupid. Like regular Superman would have one of his super robots that could speak Kryptonese, go over there and actually like be a translator, you know,
Real Superman would already know Kryptonian.
Exactly. This kid's an idiot, and I can't blame him because he's only an actor. He's just interpreting James Gunn's script, and James
Not
Gunn.
interpreting anything. It's James Gunn is interpreting. It's not even James Gunn's script. It's somebody even a bigger loser than James Gunn wrote it.
But they're still staying on the path that Gunn wrote in the Superman film. They mention they're talking to Kara's parents, and they say, maybe we could send her to Earth, because that's where your crazy brother sent his kid to take it over. They actually say that. So they're still doing the whole Vitramite thing that James Gunn wants to push, which I don't for the life of me understand why he would do that, but whatever.
That's okay. He's going to be fired soon because there's the movies after, like the Odyssey is doing really well. Whether you think if it's good or not, it's doing well enough. Well, we can say that Nolan probably makes a good film because technically he's a great filmmaker. You don't have to like his story. And this Spider-Man thing just made in like previews as much money as Supergirl made in all its time in one day because the characters are likable. And, you watch a trailer. Oh, that's pretty cool because Tom Holland's likable and he likes being Spider-Man and it shows. But no matter what you think of Zendaya, that doesn't even matter. It's not worth it to me. She's not good looking enough for him to go after. But he loves her, so that's how it is. And he's always been an earnest Spider-Man no matter what the story is. And and it's just going to make DC movies look worse and worse and worse. And then, it's a Sony / Marvel movie. It's not a pure Marvel movie. They F all those up too. But they still do better than Superman and Supergirl.
Right, let's hope. I think that Clayface is going to do well because Clayface is a relatively smaller budget. That's only $40 million. I've seen the trailers and it looks pretty good. So I'll probably see that one too, but I don't have high hopes. How ass backwards did he do this? Instead of doing a good Superman film, following it up with a good Batman film, following it up with a Wonder Woman film, and then the crescendo, the Justice League movie. We're going to do Superman, then we're going to do Supergirl, then we're going to do Clayface. What the hell is that?
I don't think he's interested in Superman and Supergirl. I think he's told to do this. He wants to do Clayface and Peacemaker, and that way it's like the Guardians of the Galaxy, a bunch of C and D-list characters that he can actually imprint on that we don't know enough about. You can't critic Guardians of the Galaxy. First one in particular is a good movie, and it's funny, but none of those characters are known. They were worried about it. So it's easier for them to make those films,
It was an entertaining movie, I'll give you that, but that wasn't the Guardians. John would know. I mean, it's Yondu.
Yeah, but nobody cares who the Guardians were, so it didn't matter.
But I was
the Guardians in the comics weren't even the original Guardians from the 70s. They had messed that up way ahead of time.
I got you.
Like, Superman and Batman, everybody has an idea who they are.
Right.
I'm not defending that it's not the real Guardians. I get that. But he's able to put his imprint. Now, that wasn't Mantis either, but Steve Englehart got money out of it, so he's pretty happy, right?
So my third one would be Professor Ivo.
Oh, right, I forgot.
By Gardner Fox for was it Brave and the Bold? Like 30 maybe or 31, something like that. He is the creator of the android, another super android, Amazo, which is essentially probably the most dangerous creation that the DC universe has, which oddly enough has never really been written competently. I mean, think about it. Amazo is, to quote Chuck Dixon, an oh shit villain. You have an android that can, as strong as Superman, as fast as the Flash, can replicate Green Lantern's energy. He has all the powers of the Justice League. No one's ever really been able to write him well, though. But the concept is good. I actually like the concept of it. He also, I guess you could mention T.O. Morrow, which was the creator of the android Red Tornado.
What about Doc Magnus?
Doc Magnus, thank you.
Metal Men. We didn't even get to the DC guys. We were talking all Marvel guys.
Like the Metal Men. Yeah, back to Amazo. Ivo made this robot that replicates all the powers of the Justice League.
Mhm.
He made God pretty much. Like he
Amigo was very
the power
different.
of Wonder Woman is amazing. Like now, is it as smart as Batman? It's as fast as Flash.
Mhm.
It's got the power. Like he replicated the Green Lantern ring, which is like these billion. So in my mind, and I hate the word headcanon, but my Dr. Ivo is like in touch with like cosmic beings. Like this is beyond science. This is like alchemy or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, if you read the original story that was penned by Fox, Ivo actually won because the whole reason why he created Amazo was to distract the League so that he could finish a concoction that would give him immortality. So he got immortality, but when he got busted, the Justice League told the courts that he's immortal. He can give him a 20-year sentence. That's nothing. So at the end of the story, he gets a 1,000,000-year sentence. So he's going to be in jail for forever. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. He probably came back in some way, shape, or form. But off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
It didn't the Justice League to defeat Amazo, they disbanded and he lost all his powers.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes, he did. Yeah. Gardner Fox is a good little writer. He doesn't. Again, he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Everyone. He's a name that I think is easily forgotten, and that man created a chunk of DC, a chunk of comics history, and in general. That guy was a great writer.
And Doc Magnus was created by Robert Kanigher and Ross Andrew and Mike Esposito, right?
Say again, Marcus. Sorry.
Robert Kanigher, right?
What about him?
Magnus Middleman.
Yes. Yeah, and that was an interesting story.
I mean, talk about an engineer. We were talking about Tony Stark as an engineer. That guy could engineer anything.
The creation of the Middlemen was funny because Kanigher didn't have a script. Kanigher essentially created the thing from the seat of his pants. I love Bob Kanigher. He a crappy Wonder Woman writer, but really good at other stories, especially.
But he worked so long with Ross Andrew and Mike Esposito was able to make the Metal Men.
Yes,
they knew right away because they did comedy. They did comedy comics in the 50s. They tried to recreate Mad, and they were forever. And this was right before they went to Marvel, and therefore they could really get the comedy aspects of the Metal Men and the superhero aspects at the same time. Like the fact that Platinum was always in love with Doc, and Mercury was afraid. Like not a lot of guys would be able to do that, but they could pull it off easily.
Yes, the art was beautiful, and what I loved about Kanigher was the big reveal is that each one of those robots were patterned after the Doc's deceased friends, including Tina, Platinum. I love the Metal Men. God, that'd be so good. I'd love a collection of the Metal Men.
They might have one. And then, they brought him back and Simonson did him with Martin Pasco, and that was pretty good too. Because Martin he could, again.
Writer. I always thought Martin Pasco, he always has the unfortunate of following, like somebody else just comes after him that's like a superstar.
Well, the problem with the DC writers that were good, that with Elliot S. Magan or Megan and Gardner Fox, and he worked for Marvel too, is that because DC's character also, like Superman was like in action, had a backup story, so it wasn't a 21-page story, and they would call it a novel, and they didn't have a whole lot of continuity. They didn't get established as much as the Marvel writers. Marvel put so much stuff, even in the seat of your pants. Englehart and Gerber had continuity. Like Englehart knew all the continuity, and that's why when he went to DC, everybody they loved his Justice League because people weren't really doing it. They were trying. It's just that's the biggest difference. They weren't asked to do that. They were good enough to do either side, but they didn't really ask for that until like the 80s, I think, like 1980. Because when I was reading a lot of DC Comics, it's like 70, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. By 80, I was not even reading them.
There was only two criticisms I'd have to level at Mr. Fox and his Justice League run. The characters were interchangeable. John would back me up on that. The characters, he wrote the Justice Society better than the Justice League. Like the Justice Society, everybody had their own personality. The League, not really. And the other thing was Snapper Carr. John, you remember Snapper Carr?
Yeah, it was annoying.
He was trying to create a Johnny Thunder for the Silver Age, but no one reminded him that Johnny Thunder was annoying and nobody liked him. And at the end of the 40s, they wrote him out of his own strip and gave it to the Black Canary because nobody liked Johnny Thunder. So for whatever reason, I guess he forgot about that, or I don't know. But yeah,
I'll go on a controversial opinion to say that the Justice Society had better characters than the Justice League.
They had more personality.
yeah.
No, like the original Jay Garrick and Alan Scott and Wildcat all had better personalities than the '60s Justice League.
I would agree.
Green Arrow was always Green Arrow. He was a Batman fake the whole time, and then Batman was Batman. There really wasn't that much of a difference, but they were so square-jawed characters, the ones that Gardner Fox, Mike Sekowsky, that they all spoke with the same.
Mm-hmm.
And the way Sekowsky drew them, you could just, if they didn't have the same hair color, like you couldn't tell if Green Arrow didn't wear a mask, he'd look exactly like Aquaman. And a lot of artists are criticized. Sal B. Summers criticized of that, but Sekowsky uniquely had that problem.
The original Justice Leagues, I think I'm up to like issue 17. In the scenes of them in civilian clothes, you can't tell who's who. You know,
the Justice League
they
didn't get
wear a suit and tie.
personality.
The only one you can tell is Barry Allen because he's the only blonde.
They didn't get personality until Mike Friedrich and Denny O'Neil started writing them later in the 60s, after 65, 67, 68. Dick Dillon was drawing them by then.
And the other problem with the League was they ignored the entire reason for the creation of superhero teams in general. They were not meant for headliners. They were meant for the B, C, D level characters.
Yeah, they like that.
So I never understood why the hell Batman and Superman would be there. Batman and Superman have got their own worlds and their own responsibilities. They shouldn't be screwing around with the Justice League. That's for Wonder Woman and the Flash and Green Arrow and Green Lantern and Aquaman and a lot of them.
That's the Stan Lee theory too, right? Because Stan Lee took all what ended up to be the big three, Captain America, Iron Man. Well, he left Captain America, but he took Iron Man, Thor, and Giant Man, who thought were the big three, out by issue 16? It became the...
And that was the reason why in the Justice Society back in the 40s, every time a character got big, got his own solo book, they disappeared. They became honorary members. So that's why the Flash left after issue 8. Green Lantern left for a little while, and then he came back towards the end of the 40s. And yeah, so I mean, it was interesting. So did anybody mention Doom?
Yeah, we talked a lot about that.
But Option Trader brought up a good one. The High Evolutionary. That's a great inventor.
Well, he might be the smartest, right? At least as a geneticist. We were talking about geneticists.
I didn't even think about him, but now that you made me think,
I didn't either.
Herbert, what's his name? Edgar Wingam, right? And he made himself immortal. He made himself.
He created a whole counter Earth.
Yeah, he made himself beyond human. Like at some points, he's got like the power of Galactus. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna wear it on my sleeve. I was gonna say Reed Richards, but maybe High Evolutionary's even.
And
better.
he wasn't really evil either. The High Evolutionary, like he was evil.
But you know who is evil? T-Bunny is evil.
I've got the beard,
he's got that
man.
beard,
Yeah, all you need is a pitchfork. You're sitting there twirling your red mustache.
Well,
you need
I just have one question. Why are we beating inventors?
What's that? Because I wanted to talk about.
Why do we want to beat inventors?
What's that?
Why do we want to beat inventors?
We don't want to beat them.
Look at your title.
Beat inventors. I misspelled it.
How about I got another one?
Oh,
Professor Albert Erskine. the inventor
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
Captain
super soldier serum.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of who. Erdell is the one who made the transport that brought the Martian Manhunter.
Professor Adele, yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Well, I mean, Tony Stark, of course.
Yeah, we talked about Tony Stark.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I've come
What
late.
about Hank Pym?
No, you
Talk
can, yeah,
about
we
Hank
talked
Pym.
a little about Hank Pym, but we talked about when we talked about Hank Pym, and you guys, T Bunny and Tony, could have opinions on it. Hank Pym and like Dr. Don Blake. Now he wasn't a creator, an inventor, but like he was the doctor for everything. He could do heart surgery and he'd take care of the common cold.
Mhm.
And Hank Pym was a biochemist who created Ultron, which makes almost no sense. So in the movie, it makes more sense that Tony Stark created Ultron because he's the engineer. Hank Pym wasn't really an engineer; he was closer to creating Giant Man, like a pill that makes me grow.
Well,
Hank
Hank Pym transplanted like the mental, Wonder Man's Simon Williams he used his brain waves as like
the brainwaves.
Engrams.
Well, I wanted
his
to. I thought
engrams,
of
that's
this.
right. His brain engrams, though.
Going back to the creator of the Human Torch, he was such a good create the android. He was so good that Ultron didn't have to create a new android. He just refigured the Torch into the Vision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Good he
Right.
was. Think
That
about
was a cool look for him in the 80s when he was white, remember? When he was
Byrne was trying to get him away from being the original Human Torch, but that wasn't as cool because he wanted to use the Jim Hammond. He used Jim Hammond in West Coast Avengers, which was fun. But think about it. And you were talking what happened to that doctor. I think Ultron killed him. He was a drunk by then and fixing TVs. He was fixing television sets.
Well,
British gods.
didn't he get discredited at the World's Fair and everybody freaked out about the torch and so he buried him?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So funny.
So he's way ahead of his time. You know?
created by the late great who's the guy that created him, Marcus?
Carl Burgos.
Bro, yeah, and he ended up suing Marvel.
He should have sued Marvel. They all should sue Marvel.
Yeah, well,
Everybody sued Marvel.
because of that, Stan Lee was using the name Human Torch for the FF, and after that, he became persona non grata.
That's right.
He just completely lost his number. Poor man.
So I'm posting on a Bill Everett covers, and he only did of his original Submariner run. He only did like 3 covers. Carl Burgos did almost all the covers
Very solid artist.
of the Submariner. Yeah.
Well, it was Submariner versus the Human Torch for a long time. Remember, like the arch enemies.
Well, that was the great time of comics that they sat there on a 4-day weekend, and they were drawing in a hotel room, and they would just pass pages around. Nobody really knows who did what on those pages, and they're not even that good. But it's such an exciting comic that it established Marvel Comics.
So let's get to this now. Who do you think is the best inventor in comics? We'll start with T Bunny.
That's I'm gonna have to go with Doctor Doom.
Dr. Doom is your pick?
Yeah. It's just because he combined magic along with technology, advanced technology, and so he not only had the mechanical aspect not locked down, but he would like fuse it with magic, and I don't think there's anybody else that did that in Marvel Comics, at least. Just the fact that he could go head to head mentally with Reed Richards, and gave him fits, and he also went head to head with Doctor Strange. I mean, we're talking about somebody who's intellectually on a level that he can, take on the Sorcerer Supreme. He can also take on like the greatest, one of the greatest scientists in Marvel Comics. So, I mean, it's that to me, that's just like next level.
Tony, who do you think is the best?
One that I forgot to mention, and I don't think anyone here mentioned. Thaddeus Bodog Savannah.
Oh yeah.
No, we didn't mention him. Yeah, yeah.
Savannah was so smart, he realized that magic is essentially science, but it's so advanced that it looks like magic. See, he was able to create everything from artificial intelligence, robots, monsters.
That was Arthur C. Clarke, right?
Yeah, he even figured out a way to phase through walls. So even if you caught him and you put him in jail, he would just say this formula out loud, and you just walk through the wall. You couldn't put him in jail. You couldn't stop him. The only thing that could ever beat him was his own ego, his own.
We had a lot about a lot of these guys.
Tunnel vision. Like he was so focused, hyper focused on one thing, he'd forget all the other shit around it going on, and then that's what would cause the whole plan to fall apart. He had a super family of super intelligent kids. He had Savannah Jr., he had Georgina Savannah, his daughter. Outside of Magnificus and Beautia, the daughter, the family, the kids he had from his first wife. But yeah, I'd say Savannah.
Savannah's a good one. Savannah, I always considered Savannah to be like he like it, in the merged DC Earth where Captain Marvel and Superman all exist. Like Lex Luthor calls out for all the scientists to get together, and they're all just like, "Did you call Savannah?" No, good. And then he shows up anyway, and they're like, "I thought I told you."
Well, and the Justice crossover, the first person they took out was Savannah, and the what was his name? The green guy with the red bulbs on his head, Brainiac. The first person that Brainiac took out was Savannah because he knew Savannah would figure out the what he was doing.
So Savannah is like, I don't know, like he has to be like the creepiest, like pettiest evil scientist ever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the reason he hates Captain Marvel is because because of Marvel's strength, and yet he's a simpleton, and so Savannah's like jealous of the fact this guy's got all this strength, but yet he's a child,
right?
And he doesn't know it's literal, but that's the reason
he's
he
like
hates
a goblin.
Marvel so bad.
He's like a persistent evil goblin. So Marcus,
Right.
who do you think?
I'm going to say Reed Richards because he's the one guy who consistently beats Doctor Doom. Right? So, like Reed, Unstable Molecules, the Fantastic Car, the Pogo Plane. He's able to go into space anytime he wants. He figures out how to use Doom's time machine and make it better. All those things the Thing is lifting for him that we don't know what they're working up that Kirby drew to give them something to do, you know. Herbie the Robot. I mean, you know.
Well, we can't all be missing. We can't all be.
And he also did figure out how to cure Ben Grimm a couple of times, and it didn't take because Ben really didn't want it to take. So, like, he really could do everything. They'd had him not just be the best inventor, the best engineer, the best geneticist. When Spider-Man had a problem with the black costume, who did he go to? Went to Reed Richards, and he's smart enough to figure it out on his own. But Reed Richards figured it out. You know, they have to have the Fantastic Four off Earth all the time, or they would solve all the problems for the Avengers.
Poor Pete just didn't have the resources, but give her the resources, Pete would have figured it out.
He figured out how dangerous Franklin was in 1972, and that we found out that Franklin took over the Marvel Universe in the last 10 years about 7 times. That type of thing. And now currently in Marvel, they decided Riri Williams is smarter than Moon Girl is smarter because they're black and girls, and that he's just this dolt that doesn't know what's going on. And even in that one X-Men versus Avengers, they had him, again, a Claremont thing, and have him have a feet of clay because Claremont hates men and loves women. I've been going on and on about he created the girl boss, T-Buddy. I think that Chris Claremont created the girl boss in comics, and we've ruined the day since he did it. Well, and I said that to Vaughn Coleman, and Vaughn gave me a dirty look, so I must be on the right path.
Has anybody here read the John Byrne stuff? Is it any good?
John Byrne's Fantastic Four is really good.
The new stuff, I mean.
I haven't read the Elseworld.
Well, I don't.
I'm on
It is
vacation
good.
for a month now, and I plan on reading a lot of comics.
It's good. I've read the one and we put it out day by day and getting super criticized. It's really good. Artistically, it's good. It's not the same, of course, because he's older, but he knows his characters as well as Claremont ever did.
So I'm gonna call. I was going to say Reed Richards, but you brought up the High Evolutionary, and I think the High Evolutionary's got to be the greatest inventor. I mean,
Okay.
he was a normal human. He created this evolution machine, made it a race of mutant animals, you know, and then trained them to be knights. Realized that they were going to be destructive, so he gave them like a code of chivalry. Yeah. He created evolutionary science, like on par with like the Kree. He made this whole big machine. He could fly into space, and then he made a whole planet.
Counter Earth.
Yeah, he made
Counter Earth. Yeah, I love the High
He
Evolution.
could evolve himself to give himself cosmic powers and battle Galactus.
Mm.
You know, so I would say that he's the greatest inventor.
I haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Is the High Evolutionary cool in that one?
Oh, I hated him.
Okay, they screwed it. They screwed it up. Okay.
I love the High Evolutionary, and even though that High Evolutionary is not quite the comic book version, they did a pretty good job. And I talk about woke stuff. I was pretty impressed that they made a black man the most despicable character. Like my wife wanted him dead in that movie because when he was doing to those animals.
Well, the latest Spider-Man, evidently the big bad is a black guy, so maybe they're starting to, you know, let that happen more often. I don't know.
Yeah. But I got to say the High Evolutionary, which brings us. What do you guys want to do next week? I like the Solomon Grundy versus the Hulk, but more than I thought I was going to like it.
How about
that was fun.
How about Best Armor?
Best armor?
Best armor?
Armor Wars.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do armor. Okay.
Well, look at what. Okay, so if we do
no speculating, Marcus. We can't. We got to save it until next week.
No. Well, what I'm saying, I'm going to generally. We can not only do best armor of other characters, but we can pit Iron Man's armor against Iron Man's armor as well. Right. That's what I meant. That's it.
When we say armor, I guess we could just say like one character can have several armors or something like that. Just armor in general, yeah.
Oh, we'll be talking about Dr. Doom again.
There you go.
Yeah, even Daredevil had armor at one point, right?
Oh,
yeah,
right. I stopped by Daredevil when he got armor. And I love Daredevil, man.
Did Batman have armor? Technically.
Azrael had armor, yeah.
Yeah, Batman had armor. If you remember, he fought Superman with the kryptonite powered armor.
Oh, that's right. That's right. No, the Batman Returns.
Batman in the movies had armor.
I have a controversial take. This is be a John take. You guys might like this. Mm-hmm. I think Dark Knight Returns does not age well.
No, it didn't. It did not.
I really don't. I think as like if I'm as an artist and the storytelling thing, it's still at that part ages well. I think that Batman Year One and Daredevil Born Again age much better than Dark Knight. Dark Knight, absolutely. I don't like the way he treated Superman. I don't like the way he treated Ronald Reagan. That dates it really badly, and all the vernacular he used. And the girl Robin makes almost no sense. And like
a young girl is hugging old naked man. It's kind of creepy.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, Tony.
And he's the one that made that whole thing now, that nonsense that people use of the Joker being in love with Batman.
He did that, made him homosexual. Yeah,
just adversaries. Now he loved. Remember, like in the Dark Knight. Remember, you complete me. You know, you have.
Yeah, that's bad.
Nonsense.
Yeah, and then in the 80s, like they weren't as sensitive to the young girl and old man trope that we now accuse of pedophilia. And he brought that with, like John just said, that's really bad in retrospect. John Byrne has much of the same problem, a lot of his work. But Dark Knight, it just doesn't age well. The writing doesn't age well.
I think the interesting one twist on Joker and Batman that I really love, and I don't know who came up with this, but the fact that when Batman took off his mask one time to show Joker, and the Joker was like, "Who are you? You know, why do I care about you? Where's my Batman? You know." And it's like Batman was the only thing he cared about. He didn't care who was behind the mask. He Batman was like his whole entire fascination. So
Who's most similar to Doctor Doom? It's not like no, it's Savannah. I would say
Yep.
Savannah uses
Right.
almost
Yep.
magic, and he's
Yeah.
freaking petty.
Savannah uses magic. That's the other thing. They're both magic users.
Well, Savannah uses magic as a technology though.
Right,
So
right.
but very much like Doom. Doom uses
Honorable
magic
mention
as
to one of my
technology.
favorite inventors, but the problem is he's such a jerk that he'll never make it to the big leagues. Is Anton Arcane?
Yeah.
Anton Arcane is a scientist, but like he's a scientist like Dr. Frankenstein.
Dr. Frankenstein, that's right.
It's kind of like he kind of does like grotesque necromantic experiments. He's motivated by such like yes, all villains are motivated by selfish means. He has no illusions of grandeur. He knows he's not making the world a better place. He doesn't want to do anything to help anybody but himself. His original motivation was to make himself immortal, and then later on, he just wanted to bother his niece. You know, he's just such. He to me is he's one of the most evil villains in the fact that his schemes are so petty. You know, I'm going to risk my immortal soul just to bother my family. You know, he's so detestable.
Hey John, have you read that the new Rick Veitch, Veitch, the Swamp Thing?
It's 3 issues and I'm missing 1 issue. I'd
love to pick your brain about what you think. They do a thing there with Jesus Christ that I think obviously they make Jesus a magician. That's
Okay.
and it's bizarre.
And that's why it was published in the first place.
Well, I will say this though, if we're talking about like greatest invention in Marvel, at least the Marvel universe, would have to be the super soldier the formula, because Abraham Erskine, when he came up with that, was like nobody's ever been able to replicate it.
Mhm.
You know, once he died, nobody was able to replicate it, and everybody that tried wound up causing disaster.
And I always found that's another comic book trope
That's
that
true,
bothers me.
yeah.
We just he never wrote it down. He memorized the formula. Yeah,
Right.
That's awesome.
Right.
yeah.
Well,
What a great
that made him like invaluable, though. You couldn't
I
get
can't
rid
remember
of
the
him, so.
4-digit combination to the lock to the gang box
There you
at work, but Erskine can remember this gigantic.
But the movie's got it right too, like the original Captain America movie. It got a lot of Captain America lore correct.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh
as
yeah, the
opposed- it
vital
didn't
rays
have
and
to be
everything. It
changed,
had
yeah.
everything right. Yeah.
They got everything except the wrong actor. I still say Chris Evans wasn't good to play Captain America.
Mm.
Well, that's because he ran his mouth later. But,
Not even just physically, he
at the
didn't look
time,
like.
though.
Oh, I
Well, who
disagree.
would you go
Blonde,
with?
blue-eyed
Who
guy
would you
who's
go
like
with?
6 foot tall is Captain America, who's muscular. I don't who else is going to physically. The Captain America is not a unique looking guy. You know,
They needed a more farmer from Nebraska looking kind of guy.
Okay.
well, what made
Yeah,
But he was from Brooklyn, though.
from Nebraska?
I know, but
He was from Brooklyn.
Captain America looks like I don't know.
He
Like
was from Brooklyn, yeah.
Chris Evans looks like I don't know.
Well, he was a good human torch.
Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
he was a
biased
good
because
Human Torch.
I liked him as the Human Torch.
Well, that's why, right? Because he's a brash young guy in the Human Torch, and that makes a lot of sense. Then I'm just giving you a hard time, John.
Which Marvel character is
That's
most
fine.
similar to Bane? Not Nuke, Punisher, or Venom. Bane, Doctor Doom, right? Ruler of a country.
Bane, I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
Not Savage.
like
Sorry,
Bane well
Chuck.
enough. I kind of agree with you. Bane is like, don't tell
Sorry,
Chuck.
Chuck. Sorry, Graham, but I don't like Bane.
Don't tell Chuck and Graham, but Bane, it's not that Bane is that awful. It's that, again, he's overused so badly.
Not only that,
Well,
I can't get past the bad costume. If you
I mean,
compare it,
but
you know,
the whole thing
Well,
with
they-
Bane, though,
that
the
costume is
idea
perfect.
that somebody can spend their whole entire life to defeat one guy, and then once he's defeated that one guy, it's like that ruins the character forever because he spent his whole entire life focused on
Well,
getting to defeat one guy, and then once he defeated that one guy because he was so hyper focused, he wasn't ready for anybody else.
Oh,
And
this is just coming across my Twitter feed. Samara Weaving has been cast as Emma Frost.
Oh, I saw that earlier. Yeah, that makes
That
sense.
is perfect casting.
I don't really know who she is, and I saw some.
I don't know who
pictures.
I've seen her around, but
Yeah.
she's got that chiseled blonde bombshell look that you need. Like, I know everybody wanted Sydney Sweeney to play, but Sydney Sweeney looks too wholesome. This woman looks like
you need somebody that looks like aristocratic.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
She's one of the few young actresses that are good looking. She can do. There's not that many.
Wow,
So they didn't pick Zendaya,
So US aid has collapsed, and now they're casting good-looking women again.
Yeah, it's weird. And suddenly rap is off the top 10 charts. So strange things
we've
are
been
happening.
talking for over almost 2.5 hours now. I'm getting kind of tired of talking, and yeah, I'm on vacation, but I still woke up at 4:30 today, so I'm still
I
tired.
gotcha.
It'll take a few days.
So, Cooper, how about tomorrow at 9:00? We'll do theology. Is that good for you?
Sure.
Okay, so Cooper and I will do theology tomorrow. I want to talk about sacrifice. I don't want to explain why, but I saw a video that blew my mind. It took one of the problems with the Old Testament and made me realize I was looking at it from the wrong direction. It really, really changed a lot of my opinion. So I'm excited to talk about that. I'm trying to get Luke to join us.
Right.
Since Luke is
well, good luck with that. Luke isn't much. He's kind of booked.
Luke is super busy. Luke, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Luke Stone, who owns Fund My Comic, he's a musician. He's a pastor. He does the.
He's an artist.
He's a father. He's a husband.
Yeah.
He's also an astronaut and a time traveler. And
and a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah, and he speaks 19 languages. He works for but he's just a busy guy. So we'll start with Cooper and we'll go around. Cooper, anything you want to say? Anything you want to close out with?
Closing in on community service. My 2 shows is Bunny is Thinking About. It's a pop culture show. It's on Mondays at 6. And I have I'm hosting the FMC Arena show, which is on Thursday nights at 6.
Yeah, I saw that. It looked like fun.
Could you tell me what is the premise of that show? That's a new show.
It is basically if you have a campaign on FMC, past, present, or future, you come on that show. And basically, it's not a pitch show. It's basically a discussion show. We just talk about the philosophies behind your work.
Can I throw in my hat in the ring?
All right. I got Argonauts coming up this Thursday, and
check out Argonauts. It's a good.
I did a cover for him. I don't know for Argonauts. I don't know when he's ever going to publish it, but I did do a cover for him.
Well, the first 2 I did was Crossbones Crew, and last Thursday was Galaxy Memorial Park guys.
Oh, good group of
guys. And basically, I'm using AI to bring their works to life, and so. If they allow it, the first guys wouldn't let me do it, but I'm basically it's gonna. Those guys were blown away by it, but basically it's it's part of the premise.
If you have an opening, let me know. I'd like to.
I'll book you Thursday after next.
Okay, cool.
Yep, just pencil that in. But
Tony, anything you want to say? Anything you want to pitch?
No, just support all these guys. Please support John, and thanks for having me.
Cool. Marcus?
Okay, I'll be on Drawing Enemies tomorrow. I forget what we're drawing. It's going to be a villain because I'm drawing enemies. And it's on the same time as your show. So your job as viewers is to have 2 computers going at the same time and watch both of us.
We're going to be competing. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
We are rewatchable. We are way more rewatchable than you guys are. So,
watch them draw live and then watch us talk about.
Watch us on rerun because I'll say some funny things and Omer is obnoxious. And I have a Ko-fi and I don't really want super chats, but it is a place where you can see and buy artwork. I'll put that Gambit I posted up there. I think they're reasonable prices. If you want something and you think it's too much, just let me know. Well, we can make a deal.
Marcus can be bought.
Yeah. Cooper knows Marcus can be bought. That's right. I want to sell it. I have copies. That's fine. I could be commissioned to draw all sorts of different things as well. I'm finishing the cover. I'm going to be working on the cover this weekend for the public eye. And that'll be ready to go whenever John's ready. So you have to back John's Kickstarter or you'll never see the public eye. So let's go. You got to promote the comics. Back the comics now so he can make the comics later.
You got more work because I'm going to try to finish up the Crisis on Independent Earth's pitch this weekend, and I'll email it out to anybody who's interested with all the rules and what you got to do and whatever to participate. But I decided the hero of mine that's going to participate is going to be the public eye. He's
all
the
one. I'll do it. Thank you.
So make sure you send the pitch to me. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. You're anybody who wants to participate. You know what I mean? I'm going to put the rules. The rules are flexible, but I don't want to say that because then people are going to argue with me. But but it's Renzo will draw the opening scene, and then Marcus, and then
that would be super awesome to be in a comic with Renzo. So that would be
I'm excited about this. A couple of people said no, but then when I explained it more, they're like, "That sounds good. I'll wait to see what your script is."
I'll make it work. I don't care. I'll make it work. You know me.
Yep. So
you write it, I'll draw it.
So if I can, I'm asking for your support on Kickstarter right now. I need to make like $75 more to hit the goal. But if you're back on Fund My Comic, I'm not going to be upset either. Fund My Comic is my first choice all the time. But I need to do $75 more to make it fun on Kickstarter. The comic, like I said, it's digital, is going out, and we got the missing files. The covers were gone, and I had to ask Luke to resubmit the covers, and now we could finally make a proof, check that out, and if that's okay, we're going to go right to print. So hopefully I can start shipping it out in September before Christmas, and then I'll do a second chance campaign because I think some people like Christmas. I'm not thinking about Christmas.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Back the comics now so you get more comics later. That's a new statement. You could use that, T-Buddy.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, working on it.
So at this point, I'll say goodbye, kids.
Yeah.
Goodbye, kids.